rolling.
Welcome back, everyone. This is episode 166 of the Jiu Jitsu Dummies podcast. We are brought to you by Black Belt Digital Marketing. Anything you need to build your business on or offline, website design, SEO, Google Ads, graphic design, even printing, we can absolutely help. Check us out at Black Belt Digital Marketing on Instagram or our website, BB Digital Marketing. You can request a free review of your online presence today. My name is Milton Campus. I'm a Black Belt training out of South Florida. I train out of Coral Springs BJJ in Coral Springs, Florida. We got Christian behind the camera.
Hey.
Bo's not with us today. Don't forget to like, comment, save, share. Click that subscribe button. We appreciate all your support. Co-hosting as usual, Ben Stark.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, everybody. How you doing? You want to you want to talk about fight tape real quick? We'll let you do the first.
Do I ever? So finally, the actual tape is in. Fight tape came in 3 days ago, so now we have our complete product line. We have fight tape, an open weave gauze, specially made for hand wrapping. We have fight tape, an extra tack, easy tear tape, again, specially made for hand wrapping. And wrap cards, so those big pads you see on the knuckles, those have to be wrapped on something. We've created those as well. So if you're a corner, cut man, coach, promotion, and you want to take care of your fighters, the absolute best stuff available for way less than the big brands, fighttape.us. Take advantage. Get some of the best stuff on the market.
So last time I looked over in the box that's over Mitchell's shoulder was what I saw. I'm like, yeah, fight tape. And then I'm like, fight wrap. Wait a minute. What did I get it wrong? What is it?
So the company is Fight Tape.
Fight tape.
Yes.
Okay. And
so that is gauze.
that's just the gauze.
And
So
then
they
the
get
tape is tape.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But it's fighttape.us.
Yes, sir.
And you sent me a link. You
Yes,
have the
sir.
website up.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, man. Congratulations.
One thing real quick, too, about fight tape, guys, and fight gauze. You know, the last thing you want to do is trying to go to a Walgreens an hour before you're supposed to fight.
Oh, my God.
And buying overpriced gauze, overpriced tape that's really not what's supposed to be on your hands to begin with. I see this all the time. Be smart, buy it in bulk. Go ahead and buy it for your next 10 fights. If you're a gym owner, you know, you should have a go bag. And I don't mean a go bag like the world's ending go bag. I mean, go bag, you got a fight coming up. You got your Vaseline, you got your tape, you got your gauze. And like Ben said, it's more affordable than the big brands. And it's definitely more affordable than Walgreens. So
Hell yeah.
Be smart, plan ahead. If you plan ahead, you're always going to save money.
And with that, welcome, Mitchell.
How you doing, man? Nice to meet you guys. I'm happy to be here.
I always ask the guests, how do I say your last name? Is it Chamale? How do you say it?
Chamale.
Chamale?
If you were in Guatemala, probably the way you just said
Chamale?
it. Yeah, but in America, just Chamale.
Chamale. Okay.
Yeah. You used to have a little
Mitchell
accent on the E.
Mitchell Chalami. Salami. Did I say it? What did
Mitchell
I say?
Salami?
Mitchell Salami.
Yeah, you murdered it. Okay.
Mitchell. How do I say it again?
Chamale.
Chamale. What
Like
did I
tamale,
say?
but
Did I
chamale.
say-
You said like
Chamale.
salami.
Yeah, like salami. I've never had someone do that.
So this is Mitchell from Combat Night.
There you go.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right, man. Nice to be
Welcome,
here.
man. Thank you for coming down. You drove down from, you said Orlando area?
Yep.
Okay. And you're down here for how long?
Fort Lauderdale event, so about 5 days, and then head right back and get ready for Jacksonville.
So we're filming. This is Wednesday, April 23rd. When your next fight is?
This Saturday. So by the time we post this, it will be done.
It'll be done.
Yep.
Great event. What a man!
it
You
was
did an awesome job,
fantastic.
man.
You know, they say Fort Lauderdale is the best fight city in Florida.
Yeah, too bad we missed it.
You know.
The next fight
Jacksonville.
is Jacksonville,
May 17th.
May 17th. Okay, so that's the one we're going to talk about if we talk about anything. Thank you again for coming down. Give me a couple seconds. We'll do some quick shout outs here. So we are also brought to you by academysafe.org. Academy Safe is a nonprofit whose mission is to help clean up the martial arts by advocating for background checks, U.S. Center for Safe Sports certifications, and concussion training for all coaches and staff members at every academy throughout the United States and Canada. I'm the founder and executive director of Academy Safe, Rob Ingram from McDojo Life, who's a good friend of yours, right?
Yes, I love Rob.
Rob is the executive VP. Again, you know, he's the founder of McDojo Life. Whenever I say McDojo Life, somebody's like, what? Yeah, I'm like, believe me, you've seen it. If you 100%. Are in the martial art, you've seen it. You just aren't registering it in the moment. But together, we're going to completely change the way people find and vet martial arts academies. By providing a website registry listing Academy Safe accredited martial arts academies throughout the United States, again, and Canada. We got Ben's going through the process. You are...
Most of my team is done.
You're like neck and neck for South Florida, for the first in South
Trying.
Florida.
It's hard getting people to go to a CPR class sometimes. When they like when the group goes, but 2 guys miss, getting those 2 guys on board is always a hassle.
So we talked about 10th Planet. Pompano is doing a CPR. Did you find out if they're also
I did not.
doing the AED?
But so they put a video out. One of their members had a heart attack on the mats.
I know.
Showed the security video. Who knows? So I would hope they're not just doing CPR. I would hope they're also taking care of the AED as well.
I'm going to send him a note in case, like, hey, if you're doing this to get on to Academy Safe because you're preemptively getting this done, make sure you do the AED. Paul Geller, who's on our board, the litigation attorney who's on our board, he's been on the show about 2 or 3 times. He trains with them. He brought Matt Walsh, the owner, on, and we've talked about it. So I'm hoping that they're doing this and to get the process started. Zazinho, who now I guess they're calling him Pompano Joe. He's the guy in the video that was helping that guy out. He is he's a police officer. He's a cop.
I've known him since my punk rock days.
He's like
17 years.
Not like they call him Laborio's godson or what do they call him? Like stepson?
I call him Shane.
But he was like, people would be like, oh yeah, that's Laborio's godson, like, but not not really, but kind of like an adopted son that he took under his wing on the mats. Okay, I thought you knew.
He has his face tattooed on his thigh.
Zazinho has Laborio's face.
Full size, full quad face.
I don't know if I love anybody that much to put their face. I mean, maybe a child, but I don't have any grandkids yet, but hopefully soon.
I'm not even getting my kids.
Yeah, I always just imagine it getting messed up, and it's just like, like
I just couldn't like culturally. It seems like a memoriam,
Yeah,
maybe if they've already passed, but not if they're alive.
I know somebody who did it on the forearm, and it does not. It just
came out weird.
It just looks really weird.
It's an awkwardly shaped part of the body.
Yeah. You need like a really good flat palate to make sure it doesn't. But then you gain and lose weight.
Yeah,
you
got 50 pounds will change a tattoo.
Yeah,
50. I mean, you got to really commit.
So back to Pompano, 10th Planet Pompano. When I saw the video, I'm like, oh wow, they're doing like a little promo for next week. But it was legit. I think the guy had a heart. It was legit because they had EMTs come in. There's a gurney that comes into the picture. Like it's all security video. So it wasn't just like, I believe it because it wasn't like phone video. It was like,
dude,
like
after hearing your story and now seeing this, I'm like, is there going to be a heart attack like in every gym, or how common really is it? Like,
I mean, heart attacks are super common.
Yeah,
I mean,
especially the minor ones where you can kind of like, indigestion and kind of go home.
So the thing is that they're more common than we think, but the problem is that you don't know. Most people don't realize the sign.
Yeah.
So my sign, my bricks the house that was falling on me that I didn't see was at work. I used to run up to the second floor, and I'm training jiu-jitsu, active. I was doing, kickboxing at my first academy. I run up the stairs and I'm like, why am I out of fucking breath? I'm like, I don't feel like this when I'm doing jiu-jitsu. I guess you can control yourself a little bit more, hold somebody down, catch your breath. I'd be like, why am I just ran up the steps. I run at the beginning of class. I wasn't getting it that just from like, resting heart rate to running up the stairs. I was like completely out of breath. That was my sign that my heart was going, hey, buddy.
That makes every fat guy nervous. You have to understand
It should. And usually when I tell the story, it does make people, they're like, shit, I got to go get my blood work.
Like, I think like I'm pretty fit. That happens to me every so often.
Yeah.
Just go for like long car drives and then run up the stairs. Like, oh, shit.
Oh, yeah. I was still heavy. I was close to 250 at the time. I was like 247, I remember, when I had the heart attack.
I feel attacked.
Well,
I was 247 this morning.
Well, I blamed it on, I'm heavy. Well, I'm working out all the time. I'll eat whatever I want because I can just burn it off. And then, and then it was just like, oh, you're 80% clogged on that main artery.
Sounds like bullshit.
The widow.
That's not how it's supposed to work.
It's been 8 years, so I was. It was right before my 43rd birthday.
Sheesh.
June is a really fucked up month for me. June is my birthday. I started jiu-jitsu right before that. Then I had the heart attack right before my birthday, like 2 years later. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that most people don't know that they're having it, and then they just have the big one. Again, running up the stairs, not realizing it, but the thing that they were doing that was active, they weren't catching the like, wow, why am I out of breath so quickly? Mm-hmm. So that's what happened to me. But I had Heart attack on a Friday night, didn't realize it. Just like, I could feel like pressure on my chest. Go to jiu-jitsu. That was at practice, after practice. Go again in the morning. Happens again. My wife makes me go to the hospital. And
Thank God for your wife.
Yeah, saved my life.
I mean, most men are too hard-headed to do that, so it does usually take an outside person telling them, like, you need to go to the hospital.
We were doing our Saturday morning. We both go to the separate gyms. We were like just cross paths in the house, and we were going to go do our Saturday errands. And we cross paths. Normally we don't. And I was just like, babe, same thing again. What's going on? She's like, let's just sit here. And then she's like quietly like talked me into going to. I'm like, I got things to do. I don't go to the hospital.
But I mean, either way, it's a great story because either she saves your lives and you're having a heart attack, or you just have gas and you feel like a sister.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a great story.
That's what it felt like, though. When I've told the story, I thought I had to take a dump. That's really what it feels like. It feels like you're backed up. You're like, take a dump. The night before, I took a shit, took a shower, and I was like, okay, that was it. And then the same thing again the next day. No, this isn't coincidence. But that's why most people keel over and die. But back to the AED, it's one of the reasons why we put that on this list. I mean, it just makes sense to have first aid and CPR training, but to also be trained on the AED and make sure they have an AED in the academy is important to us.
Yeah.
So,
I would just like to note real quick that I was not the first person to cuss in the first 15 minutes.
I do.
I'm very
I always break the.
Yeah,
I break the rule.
that's all I thought about since you told me that.
I break the rule all the time. Yeah, don't worry about it now. So we also mandate, we want you to make sure you have business insurance, and we do tech belt or lineage. That's super near and dear to Rob's heart. I mean, that's what he's been like reporting on for so long, these fake black belts and, like the touch guys and the like wave your hand and the guy passes out.
I mean, real martial arts?
Yeah. So if you do want to, get onto or get your academy listed, there's a couple of things here. So you can get listed. You could be a coach and get listed, and we'll put your academy up, but you're not going to get until your coaches and all of the staff members are certified in all the things that we need. You won't get accredited, but we will start a listing page and show that you as a coach, what you've finished, what you've accomplished, save sport, concussion, so on, right? So you do not have to wait for your coach to do it. As a matter of fact, some people do it and then the coach is like, okay, I guess I got to do this, because now they have a listing page and it shows that the coach hasn't signed up. So you don't have to wait for your coach. But get on there, use code JJD5. You get a couple of bucks off. If you, for whatever reason, it's not a good fit for you, but you do want to support us, there's a GoFundMe and a PayPal right there on the homepage. You can also throw your support with a couple of bucks. So academysafe.org, check us out. Also, if you want to sponsor or do anything with us, just send us you can just send me an email, really, milton@academysafe.org, and I'll reach back out. Rob from McDojo is actually doing some seminars with us. So if they contact us, we'll set it up where a portion of the proceeds will go to Academy Safe and to the coach and or the gym, whatever deal we work out. So that's it. That's it for now.
Yeah.
So
on Academy
thank
Safe,
you
though,
again for being patient.
On Academy Safe, you said maybe it's not for you. You just want to donate. If it's not for you, why isn't it for you?
That's a pretty valid
Is there a
question.
reason outside of like the worst case scenario?
So I'm glad that every time somebody says, it's usually like the guest or somebody that we've talked to, maybe not on the podcast, but somebody that says that. Like, what are you trying to hide?
Yeah.
I kind of, if it's not like, I'm kind of a little more along the lines of like, you coach, but you're not a coach at the school. Like they ask me to coach a move every on Thursdays. Like I throw in a move. They go, hey.
Yeah.
We have a lot of black belts, so they'll be like, "Hey, you wanna show? You got anything from here?" And I'm like, but I'm not a salaried coach. I'm not open. I don't have keys. Right? Like so, kind of like that. Like so maybe you're not a coach, but maybe you're just a student.
Okay.
But you think that this is a good idea, right? So that's kind of why I throw that in. But for academy owners and coaches,
there's no reason. I mean,
what are you hiding? What are you worried about?
I hope Academy Safe takes off the way the IBJJF did, in the sense that you didn't feel like you were at a legitimate academy if you weren't IBJJF certified. That's kind of backed off a little bit now, I feel like.
Sure.
But for like, prominent gi schools, like guys that are just focused on gi, not MMA schools, but like gi schools, I think most of them feel like they have to be a part of the IBJJF program. Otherwise, I'm not legit.
How many guys like show up at the academy like, got my IBJJF card? Somebody just did that. Did that this week. He's just like blue belt. He's like, I'm registered. I'm not even registered. I'm like, I only did new breeds. So I never was like a concern.
Same. I'm not registered either. But I just know as an academy at least, maybe not every player or coach needs to have, but as an academy, every academy should want to be a part of this, and we should want to legitimize martial arts in a sense that people are safe and they feel, because like I say this all the time, but like black belt don't mean nothing, but people who are walking into a gym, they believe, oh, that guy's pictures on the wall. Oh, he's telling everyone what to do. Like, it means something. Like, in reality, a black belt means nothing. It doesn't. And it means you did a lot of work maybe, but even sometimes nowadays, that's not the case.
So I have this quote. We post this every once in a while on Instagram. I say, a black belt doesn't make you a good person.
Does not.
No.
Being a good person makes you a good person, right? So that carries over into really just all aspects of martial arts, right? We tend to have this, like this, some gyms kind of get a little culty, right? And it's just like, I came from a gym where it's the coach, and he literally, we know this, everybody knows this, that trained there. If he brought in a coach and you got like that coach was getting popular among the students, maybe they were like, hey, can I do some privates and things like that? You got fired.
Really?
No
you were
competition.
gone. The longest lasting coach there didn't speak English, so only spoke Spanish. It's South Florida. A lot of people speak Spanish, but I believe, this is my assertion, I believe he was there the longest, years. Number one, he married the front desk girl. Number two is he didn't speak, so he was like very shy, didn't really, like, we were friendly, even, I speak broken Spanish, but we were friendly, but it wasn't like he never felt like he could get really close to you. So he didn't, he was there, and it was just like, great, he's my uki, and that's it. And like, he's going to keep his mouth shut. Great jiu-jitsu, super nice guy, went to his wedding. Like, coach went on vacation because he doesn't, I don't do weddings. He went on vacation the weekend that this guy was getting married. His coach and marrying his front desk girl, and he's just like, I don't do weddings. But you know what? Well, so now years later, but this is the thing though. I make the allegation. I don't say his name and I don't say the academy. We always wondered why the coach never went to any events. I'm like, why doesn't he, like, there's a birthday, come to the birthday. This is like your student. Well, it was because he was trying to bang and hit on like the students' wives, mothers, coach, like he was hitting on them, and he's had affairs, and he even did it to
I can't have my side.
He did it to a close
meet
friend.
each other and get mad.
Yeah, well, the thing was just like, then he was getting caught, and his wife also coached there. He's getting caught. The wife is embarrassed. He's embarrassed. So they're not showing up to stuff because you show up, and it's just like, does that husband know that I've been hitting on his wife, and you're going to get into some shit? So it made sense that, that's
but
why
that husband will come to the gym?
Well, people, not everybody had a platform to like throw him under the bus. So a lot of people just quietly left, didn't say anything. I'd say I kicked up a lot of dust when I left, and I made sure everybody knew why I was leaving. He didn't do it to me. He did it to a very close friend of mine. And then when I left, people would be like, oh, did you leave the gym? Yeah, why? And I would tell them, and they'd be like, oh, shit, you're just finding out now? You didn't know? And I've got like 8 different stories that got sent to me of, he tried to bang me, he tried to bang my wife. Here's the thing. His son caught him sending dick pics to somebody, and then like the son told the girlfriend told somebody that her mom who trained there. It was a fucking mess.
Yeah.
But it's why Academy Safe it's why this happened. Being the second time that I was affected by something else that was happening within the affiliation of the gym. And I was just like, are we fucking serious?
Yeah.
And that's when I called Rob and I said, I got this fucking crazy idea. I think I already did the logo, and I was moving forward, and I was like, Rob, am I crazy? Can we do this? And his words were, people have been after me forever to do this. He's like, I'm one person, I can't do it. He's like, what do you need from me? I want to be involved. He's
nice.
like, and that was it. And it just took off from there really quick. But yeah, people that don't want to do it, it's because it's like that. Something like they're trying to hide something. We've had two coaches in the like, well, I think there's 3 stories now of people that are like, they want to join. They're like, I can't join because my felony is going to come up. Like, I'd really love to be a part of this. I got a felony when I was a kid. I did something stupid. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna come up. And we're not going to be able to accredit you. I'm
the bummer
sorry.
is that in some cases it's 20, 25 years, and they've had literally nothing. It was like a bar fight at 19.
Yeah.
Goof around in the streets. Well, bad goofing.
And most everybody in combat sports has something, whether they got caught for it or they didn't get caught for it. They did something stupid, usually a fight.
Yeah.
So that stinks.
So now here's a question. So if you have a coach like that, and they sign on, and maybe they're not fully accredited, like it shows, their entire staff, let's say 3 people, have passed everything. Everyone's passed a background check, and then the owner's like, 1987 fist fight felony. Would that still be listed on there?
So we're not going to necessarily we're not going to list them and share that. We're here to list good academies. Not that that's a bad academy, and I get it what you're saying, right?
That's what, like those.
We all have a pass.
Yeah,
but what
so
we're
many
trying
guys
to
in
do
martial arts have had that dust up and gotten busted.
All we're saying is these academies haven't had that dust up.
That's
and
true.
These are the it doesn't mean that guy is a bad guy just because we don't have him listed. But we're not trying to out anybody. We're not trying to say, oh, caught one. Give him a listing page and put it all in red that he's a shit academy. We're not doing that. We're going to list good academies that meet these criteria. Does that change over time? I don't know. Do we list them and say what it was and when it was? And do we give them like 20 years ago, this guy was
that's what I'm saying
18 and had this thing? We could probably, as we grow, have some type of
almost
review.
like a tiered system.
Yeah. So, one of the ones that one of the things that's happened, we've had one person fail a background check so far, and it was for possession of marijuana and contraband. So, it's fucking pipe, right?
In jiu-jitsu, the guys are like, oh, can we list that school so I know where I want to go?
Right?
Don't worry, guys, you can go anywhere.
Exactly.
Really cool.
So we have the ability to say, okay, when I went to go tell the owner, I knew we were going to pass. The owner was probably high when I was talking to him. The guys offered me edibles. I knew it was not going to be a big deal. So in those cases, we have to say, now if it was a felony and it was just 5 pounds of marijuana coming in from wherever, we have to say, okay, this is now you're talking about
trafficking. Yeah. Different.
Trafficking, there's some kind of organized crime to that. There's an organization to that. Maybe this is beyond what we want to show, and we have to make those decisions. It's only happened once, and again, it was just possession of a small amount of marijuana and then paraphernalia, so it's pipe and things like that. Not a big deal. Not a big deal in our world. Yeah. But not everybody's going to, necessarily even, oh, no, I want to know about the drug. Well, guess what? You're in martial arts, especially in jiu-jitsu. It's just you don't. I have no problem with marijuana. I've smoked in my life. I've lived my life. I've lived a good life. I just don't really do it now. So when people hear I don't really smoke, or they're here, you want to how many times have we been out here? Yeah. Bo's and I'm no, I need to take a nap. I can't drive home like that. I'll be like that, I'm just not a wake and baker. I'm no problem with anybody that's doing it. People look at me funny that I don't. You do jiu-jitsu and you don't smoke? You're not using it for pain management? You're not doing edibles? You're not doing this, that, the other thing? And I'm no, I just don't. I'm for me, it's, I won't function. I am going to get some edibles though.
That being said,
I've got a buddy who's I'm supposed to text him on the way home, and go pick up a little jar of edibles that he's got for me. Which I've tried one from a coach, and I was just that was nice.
Delightful.
I felt really good. So I'm going to go pick some up.
Now, whatever dose,
I don't care.
Triple it. And just make sure you're home.
I am. Again, I don't fault anybody for that, but there's got to be a line, Yeah. Again, doesn't mean that they're a bad academy. Now, we've toyed with the list them, but then show that bad. Still give them a listing page, show everybody that's good, show this person might. But now does that person really want to be listed as
Well, you'd have to ask them hey, you've submitted. You knew this was in your past.
Yeah.
Now we can either not accredit you and not list you, or we can list you and we'll have a, felony, and they can click it and it'll pop up and it'll, no real details, but just 1993, assault and battery. And
maybe we get to that. Yeah. Maybe right now it's just we'll list you. We list you while you're going through the process. And then,
Do you allow reviews from someone trains there? Hey, I want to.
So there's the listing a plugin that we use. I've actually turned off the reviews, but we link to their Google reviews.
Okay.
Because getting into receiving reviews and then having to manage them and then having to manage fake ones,
You have to deal with slander and stuff.
You'll have to have a whole department. So we actually turned off the review tab. And now inside of their listing page, it says Google reviews, and it links right to just their review page. So you could, you got something bad to say, go to Google. We're linking to them, and it can go from there. And that's the other side of it too. It's just like we're saying that they've done these things. We're still not saying that this is the best academy. We're saying that they've done these things. Yeah. So we've done the homework. These are the questions that you should be asking. We've already asked them. Now go check them out, see if they're worthy. You know, go take your week, your month, and so on. So are you actively? Is that your gym? I see you. I follow you online. You're a great follow, by the way.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Is that your gym, or you train at that gym that I've seen you at?
I just train there. It's Fusion Excel over in Ocoee. I'm good friends with the owner there, Julian. They have a lot of guys that fight for us. But my home school is actually a place called Tough as Nails. Okay. It's a CrossFit gym that has like a little area for jiu-jitsu as well. And that is that's my home gym. Like, I don't put the gi on at Fusion. No offense to them. It's just like I have like a loyalty to my Tough as Nails people. Okay. So Fusion's like my MMA home, and then my jiu-jitsu is at Tough as Nails. So
tell us about how you got started in martial arts, and then we'll start talking about a little bit more about Combat Night.
I mean, I guess I got started in high school wrestling. Okay. I remember a funny story I've never told before. I walk up, and my buddy, kid named Rod Ashmore, who used to weigh like 300 pounds, 250. He was huge. He's a big kid in high school. He's real skinny, and he's eating McDonald's fries. He's chewing on them and he's spitting them out. And I was like, "What is he?"
Getting the salt and the grease out of him.
I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I got to lose like 3 more pounds for my wrestling match, and I just want to taste the fries." And I was like, "So you're just sucking on them and then you spit them out?" He's like, "Well, no, I chew on them and then I spit them out." And I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Wrestling's crazy. I don't want. I don't want." But I was like, "Man," "Is that how you lost all that weight?" And I was like, I was 5'4" maybe, and I was like 180 pounds, like 185 pounds, and I was like, well, I could lose some weight. I need to lose some weight.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'8".
That then?
Yeah,
how old are you?
I'm 5'8" now.
Okay, I was gonna say 5'4".
I was like 14. You
were wider
13.
than you were tall.
Yeah, I was a little chunk, bro. Like I had fat cheeks, and I looked like a gerbil with a mouthful of food. And I was like, man, well, I'm gonna go give this a try. Like, why not? So I went out for the wrestling team, and that was like my first introduction to like any kind of competitive combat sports. And I ended up wrestling for a couple of years. I was one of the first kids to go to states for my high school wrestling team. Okay. I ended up being decent at it. I got down to 145 from 185. And after high school, I was like, man, I still want to do something competitively. I wandered into a gym. I was a sales manager for a school or a place called Lifestyle Family Fitness. It was a gym back in the day. And Ross Kellen at Champions MMA in Polk County, where I grew up, I walked in there, and there was a MMA class going on, and there were guys like David Baggs, who's now a referee for the Florida State Boxing Commission, Kevin Smith, who at the time was King of the Cage, like 70 champ. All these killers are in there. So I go in there and take a class, and I'm like, man, I love this. This is awesome. I got the crap beat out of me. And I never went back. I was just busy, whatever. Yeah. Never went back. Then I ended up going to college at FSU. My first year I was at TCC though, and there was a judo class, and I was like, I'll do a judo class. It sounds good, like grappling. I don't really know what judo is. I go take the class, and it was taught by like a 4'8" Okinawan guy. And turns out FSU had shipped over a whole judo team from Japan in like the 60s or 70s. Okay. And they all stayed. So Tallahassee is a hotbed for judo. Got amazing judo practitioners. Cool, yeah. Guys that went to the Olympics from Tallahassee for judo. Yeah. So I do that for a little bit. I meet a kid named Matt NG, and he does jiu-jitsu. He's like, hey man, come in, help me out after class. Let's train some jiu-jitsu. And I'm like, what's that? And he's like, well, it's like the ground form of judo. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And he submitted me 7 ways of Sunday. And I was like, man, what is this? Like, I need to know more.
Isn't it crazy how you said before, I got beat up and I loved it?
Yeah. If you walk in the room and you smoke them, you're like, this is whack.
Yeah. I'm better than this, I think as any man, if you're a real man and you get humbled and you get, you get shown that whatever you're doing isn't the way, it's like, okay, well, I want to learn that, if you're not a man, you might run from it, but I ran head on. And he taught me to another gym. And before you know it, one thing led to another. I'm at an MMA school with my a buddy named Josh Saman, who passed away. He helped me start Combat Night, and he was like, "Yo, you want to fight?" I'd done MMA for like 2 months, 3 months, and I was like, "Yeah." I mean, I grew up fighting. I'm from Polk County. All we do is fight. And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, I want to fight." And he was like, "All right, cool." And he was like, typical pay is like $300. And I was like, "I'm gonna get paid to fight." I was like, "Hold on, you're gonna pay me to fight
$300?
Yeah.
Amateur? That's what.
And he was like, yeah, you're gonna get paid. And I was like, all right, sign me up. So like 3 months later, I'm in my first fight as a pro. I took my pro debut on like literally 4 months of training.
Okay.
Florida didn't have amateur at the time. Florida only had pro, and in fact, guys were getting arrested for trying to host smokers.
What? Yeah, I've heard of smokers. What year? Around what year is that?
2010, 11.
Wow, it's
It
not
was
so
still
long ago.
amateur was still illegal in 2000.
Maybe it was 2000. Maybe that's when I started Combat Night. Maybe I went pro in like 2007. I don't know, guys.
I mean, I was here in '99. And
The
I know
amateur
it was
definitely
illegal.
around.
I mean, I was just learning early 2000s. I was like just gotten to the UFC, and it was illegal in most states.
Yeah.
Like the UFC was just doing what, like
I think amateur
out
got
west,
cleared.
right? Or what
I
they
think
did was it like
amateur-
Nevada mostly?
I think amateur got cleared in like 05, 06 here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been.
Because there were amateur shows before I moved to Thailand, which was in
Yeah.
2011, and before I was on Tough, which was 09.
Yeah.
So it had to be somewhere
something
around
like
there.
Yeah.
But it was illegal, so I didn't even think about doing an amateur fight. I was like, I'm just gonna do a pro fight.
Yeah.
We could go to Georgia and wear shin guards and these bubbly gloves, and I was like, no. Like, if I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna fight. So I took my pro fight, and the rest is history, man. I fell in love with it.
How'd you do in that fight?
I won. Actually, I choked the kid out. He had like 5 or 6 fights as an amateur. It was his pro debut too, and he threw up everywhere. A rear naked choke. As soon as I let him go, he threw up everywhere. And I was like, "Oh, this is amazing!" And I was like,
the fact that you could do that to another man,
make it, to me, and that's the biggest thing is I wanted to kind of test my jiu-jitsu. I really wasn't. I grew up fighting, but I wanted to really know is this jiu-jitsu stuff real?
Yeah.
And I knew I could take a punch. I knew I could throw a punch. Not very well back then, but I wanted to see I love jiu-jitsu a lot, but am I doing Tai Chi? Or am I doing like something that's not really applicable to the real world?
Yeah.
And so that's really, I mean, I'm 8-3 now, and 8 submissions.
Are you still fighting? Do you still fight?
Nah. I mean, I took a fight on really short notice about a year ago for one championship, but I mean, I'm not going to say I wouldn't fight again. I mean, I would probably fight again if the opportunity arose and it made sense.
I've been thinking like this recently, and I don't know if I like it.
What do you mean? Do you the thoughts
okay,
going through your head that you would take a fight?
Yeah, but also like I think you were coming in when I was like retiring. It's like the late 2000s,
Okay.
right? So the way, I don't know if it was for your generation, but in my generation, the training was so hard and so intense that like when I watched the new generation train, half the time I'm like, you couldn't keep up with me in the off season. Like some of my students are like, dude, you should fight again. You should fight again. You should fight again. And I'm like, cool, but you guys would fucking hate me. I would terrorize all of you.
Yeah.
I'd be waking you up in the morning. Hey, meet me at the gym, 1 hour. Don't fuck around or I'm knocking on your door. Because that's how it had to be. Because everyone was just a terrifying monster. Because we didn't know any better. Now we got like science.
Recovery.
Yeah.
Like focusing on
what's
sleep, recovery, stem
Yeah.
cells, all the things
Oh,
we were
yeah.
talking about before with Lahil and
No, this generation is soft overall, like 100%. You know, I don't know if you ever read BJ's book, Just Scrap, but that's what it was. Like you showed up and you just scrapped every day. And it didn't matter if the guy I sparred Josh Saman. He's a middleweight. Every time there was a sparring day, I sparred him because there was only so many people that were crazy enough to get in there and do MMA and want to compete and train. So you just, whatever body you had, you used it. And the training was intense, man. It was really, especially compared to nowadays. Like I always tell guys, like I'll never ask you to do something for Combat Night that I haven't done myself or that I wouldn't do myself. So it's like, are we looking for somebody to step up on 24 hours notice? It's like, check, I've done that. Hey man, I got to pull out of my fight because my girlfriend's cat died. You got to do what?
that's
Dude, didn't we have a guy pull out because his girlfriend dumped him that week?
Yeah, we've had guys pull out because my girlfriend broke up with me. It's like, yo,
bro,
your fighting's not for you. And I tell them, I'm very point blank honest with you. I mean, even I love Ben, but like even me and Ben will say something about a fighter said da-da-da. And I'm like, guess what? Fighting is not for them. Like, I don't pull punches for anybody.
Yeah.
I'm always very real. And if you're not going to fight because your girlfriend's cat died or because your girlfriend broke up with you, we have had guys at fighters meeting get into an argument with their girlfriend and like, I'm not in the right mindset for this.
The fuck out of here.
What do you mean? Like, if anything, that is what you do. Like that. Now you say, yeah.
Take that and use that as fuel.
Yeah. Exactly.
Why is he yelling Brenda in the middle of the cage? Yeah. Fuck you, Brenda.
And I get it too. Like, I don't expect everyone to have the same mindset that I have. Like, I'm a very, if I give my word as a man, my dad always taught me growing up is that like, you got to be a man of your word. Like you can.
No one believes that shit anymore.
No.
Young people don't believe that word of shit.
It's non-existent. But like, you know, if you can't do what you say you're going to do, okay, that's one thing you have control over. It doesn't take any money. It doesn't take nothing. It's just what comes out of your mouth. You're in control of what comes out of your mouth. So if you say something, you better figure it out. Like I've time and time again, I've said shit that I didn't want to do. No offense to the Jiu Jitsu Dummies podcast, but when I realized I had to leave at 6:30 in the morning to be here by 11, I was like, what did I do?
yeah, definitely.
But I listen, I tell everybody, like,
we were trying to
down if like make it part of a trip.
Yep.
Shit, I leave the house to get a haircut. I'm like, what 10 things can I do on that route? And it's only 15 minutes away because I don't want to be running around. So hats off to you. Rob has driven down here and gone in the car. I'm like, you want to get lunch? No, I got to go. And he gets in the car and he goes right back to Jacksonville.
Right back.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, thank you. I would never ask anybody to do it, but if you want to come down, it's always great when you guys come down. So thank you for doing it.
I want to be in studio too. It's better that way.
It's a different feel. It's
for sure.
It's a completely different show. But I mean, you know, if you didn't know Ben, you get to meet Ben. Anybody that wants to come down, you get to meet Ben. You know,
this
I mean, look at this guy. Look at this. Look at the
Ignore the pimple thing.
Is this just? Are you letting it grow long?
So my wife's in Taiwan.
I think every episode we talk about his beard these days.
My wife's out of country for 6 weeks, so I'm kind of letting it grow. But like the first or second day they were in Taiwan, my daughter was just like, "Daddy, too long. Make it short again."
Yeah.
Like, all right. Like, okay.
You should just you grow everything out.
Here's
so when they come home, it's just like, who are you?
I want to go full Hulk Hogan, but like that. I have a video on my Instagram. It's got like 5,000 or 6,000 views on it. I had just shaved it in, and I go, "Hey guys, should I keep it?" And my wife's just like, "No." And then
you should do
cuts.
that whole like the black. Like, can you get the little dye? It washes out, but like do the dye like Hulk Hogan had the dye, and then the white. And then call your wife, "Hey, honey," like act like nothing's going on.
I was thinking, I'm gonna shave this off for the next, like, I got another 3.5 or so weeks till she comes back, and I'm gonna try to get, like, it's not gonna get too long, but it's.
We cannot talk about beards without talking about Mitchell's beard. I saw like earlier this week you posted a video of you choking a guy out. Like, did you you grabbed your beard? Done for the camera.
Yeah. That was
no, that was real. That was real.
I have used it in a real role.
For real?
I have grabbed my beard in a real role.
Like a
rear naked choke.
Rear naked choke, really? Mm-hmm. To finish it, or to like, shit, I need to hold on to this for a little while I get my hand over
to finish it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, you know, a lot of guys will use the back of the neck for the single arm. Like they'll grab the back of their neck and use it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the beard. I can get that beard in there. And just,
oh, shit.
It's not often. It's not like I'm doing this to everybody, but it's like the overzealous blue belt that's going crazy. Like, get over here. Oh, you got my hand? Cool.
So technically, this would be legal. Like, you can grab your own shorts, you can grab your own rash guard. You can't grab theirs.
Illegal about that, right?
Yeah, you can totally do it. Yeah.
Someone hits that in a fight for Combat Night, I give you a $500 bonus.
But now everyone's gonna start. You're gonna see just a card, 60 dudes with bad beards. Like one guy's like, "I only do it on my left. I only need to grow."
I wonder, like, you know, you got who's that guy that
Mike Beltran.
Beltran. You know, but if you had like a beard and then you did the
braid it,
you
have
it,
a real
and then
handle.
have it.
Yeah,
that's got to be cheating at that point.
If you're using it to choke, yes, I would. I would imagine you could probably still grab it, but
yeah, you should be able to grab it. But
I don't know. You're allowed to use any part of your body to do what you got to do. So, do you remember Best of the Best?
No.
It was a movie. Originally it was like Olympic taekwondo, like point fighting, and this guy had a rivalry from the worlds. And the second one was a literal underground death fight, like rich people betting thing. But one of the guys had super long hair with like a bead on it, and he would hit you with the bead. But I'm thinking about it, like if you had like a long top knot, there's no rule against you pulling your hair. You could wrap it around their neck.
Yeah, I think wrapping it around the neck might be.
That's where I think it's illegal. But I'm going to ask at the fires meeting. I'm gonna put the refs on the spot. They're not going to get to see this before, so I'm going to ask them at the fires meeting and see what they say.
That would be fun. There has to be some. Well, I guess because of women, right? Because women sometimes have long hair.
Remember, Kimbo had his bushy beard, and they had a hearing to see if bushy beards were an advantage.
They did.
They actually started doing scientific studies to see how much impact it would take off of a shot.
And where'd that go?
They concluded that people with beards get knocked out less often, and that the beard disperses the impact.
Okay.
They did. That's a real
That's a real thing?
they did. Yeah.
I think it'd be more so like more of a Miles beard than a Mitchell beard. It's just a more dense beard.
Miles has a very, very dense beard.
Yeah. You guys have you do amateur early in the cards on every card, amateurs?
Yes, amateurs for every card. Some card, just amateurs.
Because we have an amateur fighter.
I know,
behind
right?
Behind
what
the screen.
weight you fight at, man?
Swole weight.
Man, that's
55, but I should be at like 35.
Here's what's nice about Christian. Not only is he going to promote the company and where he's fighting, but you will get cross promotion from his OnlyFans and his Feet Finder account, right? So
perfect.
Like he's gonna ask for the top down shots and your drone shots, so that they can track his steps, because that's a big thing for.
It is a gay OnlyFans.
Hey,
would you take an amateur fight, Christian?
Another one?
Would another one? Excuse me.
Are you training regularly?
But I would.
But you would?
Yeah.
What are you doing in May or June?
Huh?
A good bum.
If he can give me like a good bum, then
I hate to break this to you, but this is Florida. There's not that many bums.
There's not.
I love that. And he, it's funny. I know he's joking, but like,
no, we're not joking.
I'm not joking.
Oh, the bum, maybe the bum side. No, he's not joking about that either.
Yeah, I get asked that all the time. Like all the time, guys will say, "Oh, I want to fight," and then you start talking to them about, you send them opponents, like, "Oh, well, you know them," and it's like they try to tiptoe around asking for a bum, and it's like, my guy.
So Christian, who's the guy that did the podcast here? What was his name? UFC fighter?
Mickey Gall.
Mickey Gall.
Yeah,
he's trained with Mickey. Mickey's sister beat him up a little bit.
No, his wife.
His wife. Excuse me. His wife. Didn't he have a sister that trained too?
No, his sister manages Killcliff.
Okay.
Some stuff with that.
Okay, I thought she fought too.
Shout out Kim. She's a beast. I think she's like 3-0 in boxing, I think, something like that. And she's my size, so she's.
She served you up these hands.
Mickey does a podcast. They used to do it here, so he met him, and he's trained. You've trained with that Killcliff crew. Cliff crew.
You trained
with
our
him.
partner.
Not really
just-
at the
okay.
crew. I don't need to go up there and get brain cells.
Who was the one that they choked out here? Was that you or was that Ben that they
Ben
choked out
got
on the
choked
show?
out. I took
not our
I
Ben.
took the body shot though from Vicente.
Oh, I
Dude, that body
saw
shot was disgusting.
They interviewed Vicente Luque here. You saw that?
I saw the body shot. He was like retching on the floor.
Yeah. I would have done choke me out. Don't.
Nah, fuck I'm not going to sleep on camera. Fuck that.
No.
I'd rather
I'm
take a
good.
body shot.
What if
I'm always afraid I'm gonna pee or I'm gonna pee or like soil.
If it can happen to Steven Seagal, it can happen to you.
Yeah, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Talked a lot about beards and Steven Seagal in the last 2 episodes. That was I listened to that.
Did you really get beat up by a woman though?
Cost him $200.
Yeah, no comment.
Yeah, that's yes.
I mean, I got beat up by Holly Holm like when I was very young in the sport. And I didn't know she was a world champion boxer at the time. I was at Greg Jackson's camp, and we're doing like keep them on the cage rounds, and it's like just boxing, and I go first, and I'm like, oh, I'm going with a woman, and I was like, I'm like 2-0 as
She's
a pro.
big too, no?
She's bigger than me. I'm like 2-0 as a pro, and I'm like, oh, she's still a woman, and I'm like, like playing around with her, and then I think almost offended her. I probably did offend her, and then I go on the cage, and I was like, getting pummeled from side to side, and I'm like, what in the just happened? I get in the truck, and Cowboy, so I was living out there with Cowboy for a little bit, and he's like, what's up? And I'm just like,
I just got beat up by a girl.
Yeah, and he's like, everything good? And I was like, I just don't know if this is for me. And he was like, what happened? And I was like, man, that girl in there, bro.
Did you still not know who she was at that point?
No idea.
Oh, you had no. Okay.
No idea. This happened a couple times out there because Greg Jackson. There's like 80 people on the mat. It's a huge, fight team. And he's like, who? He's like the redhead. And I was like, yeah. He's like, man, that's Holly Holm. And I was like, I don't give who it is. I don't care. Like, I just got whooped by this woman. Like, she whooped me. And he goes, man, she's a world champion boxer. And like, I'm like, oh yeah, world champion boxer.
It's a badge of honor.
I'm like, you said Holly who? Holly Holm? I look her up and I was like, oh, okay.
That's not that bad.
Yeah, right.
Bad.
I can't stop in the middle of wrestling season and just go get a hip replacement is what the doctors want to do. I don't have time to take off. Since going to the heel, my knee pain is 100% gone. I couldn't even run from here to the door over there. And then after completing the peptide treatment, I can run miles now. Anybody that wants to stay active anyone that's involved with a sport, anyone that has young kids, and you want to avoid, number one, the cost of surgery, the rehab from surgery, LaHeel is the place to go.
Unlock the power of your online presence with Black Belt Digital Marketing. Their reputation management program ensures your Google business profile seen by more potential customers. Black Belt Digital Marketing is your full-service digital marketing agency specializing in local SEO and reputation management. Boost your business today. Visit bbdigitalmarketing.com. Your success is their priority.
You know, you mentioned Greg Jackson. Was Mike Winklejohn was at the last fight?
Mm-hmm. He had a fighter on the card with us.
Yeah. I was just like he walked in. He was like standing right next to me, and I'm just like, I didn't want to fanboy. I was like, nah, let me leave him alone, man.
Yeah.
And then I think there was some UFC fighter there that wound up chatting him up for a little bit.
Yeah, there's usually a few at our events. They frequent,
especially in Orlando.
You've had a lot of fighters come through that have wound up fighting in the UFC, right?
Yeah, about probably 7 to 10, somewhere around there. We've had quite a few guys, mostly from Jacksonville, to be honest. Like, it's really weird. Like, Jacksonville is like, they need to do a 30 for 30 about what's in the water in Duval because, I don't know, you just think, you think of places that come, it's going to be Miami, Orlando, but Jacksonville's not really known for MMA, but they've got a little, they got some killers out in Jacksonville.
So Combat Night itself, like, where are you, is it all Florida? Is it Southeast? Where are you going? Where are your shows typically?
We've done some in South Georgia, mostly in Florida, and we're going to be expanding out of the state further than Georgia here real soon. I want to start going further and further away and start doing some events. And
then, right, so you've got an event here. We said Saturday. Mm-hmm. Are most of those fighters usually from the area? People are still coming down from other parts of Florida or even the United States?
This Saturday is an amateur event, so mostly amateur events will be mostly locals. When we get to the pros, in order to get the guys the right fights, and what I mean by the right fights are tough fights, like the guy out of Greg Jackson's camp in Winklejohn, Pati, he came from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I believe he was 7-4. 2 fights on the Contender Series, and he was fighting Val Woodburn, who is a Combat Night OG, who also had 2 fights in the UFC. So it's like both these guys are on. Pati had like 2 or 3 win streak going for him, and to have those guys fight each other, you got to kind of go outside of the state sometimes, because especially in state, a lot of these guys cross train and work with one another. Yeah. So for more difficult weight classes like a middleweight, we had to go out of the state. But that's mostly the pro side of things. We don't normally bring in amateurs.
Is there any communication between organizations, even like between you and a UFC? Like, do they ever call like, hey, who do you got? Who's, is there a superstar? Are they scouting you guys? Are they scouting those guys? Or are they reaching out to their camps and their managers directly? Or do they ever like, reach out, hey, Mitchell, you got anybody?
Yeah, they don't reach out to us. Yeah. We do have communications. Like, I'll email the matchmakers and put together like a little highlight reel for guys and say their names and all the information for them. But mostly how it works in MMA is the managers kind of work as like the scouts, I guess. Okay. And so I got a lot of good relationships with all the management companies, Sucker Punch, First Round Management, Iridium, Ruby SE, all the guys. I love them. And they, what's more likely is they'll come to my show. I'm like, hey, who's that guy? And hey, let me introduce you to him. Come over here and meet him. And then when a guy gets to the point where they're like 4-0, 5-0, it's time to start looking at management around then I will introduce them like, hey, you need to talk to these 5 management companies. See which one you like the best, because this is how you're going to get into the UFC. It's very hard nowadays to get them in without a manager. It's still possible. But, when you talk about a company like Iridium who has 100 fighters on UFC roster, who do you think the UFC wants to take care of? The guy that has 100 fighters or the promoter that's trying to get in his fighter? Yeah,
especially like, you don't want to negotiate directly with the fighter. The fighter doesn't want to necessarily negotiate directly with the promotion because you're probably going to get taken advantage of, or you're going to take a bad deal. Yeah. At least these guys know what a good deal looks like. Right?
I have some fighters that cross train in my gym, and they're actually telling me in some of their gyms, their coaches are like, find your own fights and then just send it to me for approval. Like, am I free on that date?
Hey, Christian, you awake back there?
Etc. He was in the zone.
I'm going to just move my lips while you're talking.
But like, I've never really done that because I saw it like as a fighter myself, or even when I started like with my gym and having fighters. I remember I had a guy who had just made his debut. He was 1-0. I got a call from this event, will remain nameless. He's like, hey, I saw your guy. He looked really good. We'd like to get him on our next card. And I was like, okay, great. You know, he's 1-0. What do you got? And they offer me a guy. Just tell me a name. I'm like, okay. I look him up, and he's like 6-0. I was like, my guy just debuted 2 weeks ago. You're offering me a guy who's sitting there like, what? You don't believe in your guy? You don't think you're good? You don't think your fighters are good? Like, if this was that kid, he'd have bit.
Yeah.
Because a fighter's job is to know in their heart that they can beat the shit out of anyone in the world. And as soon as that guy goes, oh, I might not be able to beat that guy, all of a sudden things start getting iffy. So it's your representation, your coach's job to make sure, like, hey, you're saying yes to the right question kind of thing.
Sure.
So like that kind of thing always blew my mind because like you need that protective buffer because it sucks. Your fighter's like, oh, it sounds good. I'll send it to my coach. My coach said no.
Yeah. We don't even want to talk directly to a fighter. Like there are some fighters that just handle it themselves, and like he said, there's coaches that just don't want to be a part of that process. But honestly, then we'd probably rather not even work with that coach or that team. There's a lot of teams and people that we don't work with just because, you know, when you start working with guys independently like that, that's when the pullouts happen. They don't get their medicals done. They're not doing the right things versus working with a fighter that's in a gym that has multiple fighters and the coach cares enough to be involved in the process. That's part of the reason why we started our promotion was to be different than the other promotions that were out there. And it's crazy that we've been doing this for 13, we're on our 13th year right now. The same crappy promotions and ways that people did business in MMA is still present today. It's insane to me. It's
When did you start Combat Night?
Our first event was 2012. We started the company in 2011. Kind of the same way, just like 3 months. We were like, oh, we're going to do an event.
So what was the, like, I can go back and remember, like, when I started the podcast, each one of my business, I can remember, like, a moment where I was just like, I was literally in the shower for Academy Safe. I was in the shower and I'm like, but how are people going to know that their Academy is safe? And I'm like, you should be asking, is my Academy safe? And I was like, oh, well, is your Academy, like, boom, it was like right there. I can remember that. Yeah. Do you remember the moment you were like, let's do a promotion? Yeah,
100%. We were traveling down south to Fort Pierce for Rise of a Warrior. It was the very first amateur show that popped up, and it's still the longest running here in Florida. Now it's ran by a good friend of mine named Dan Donaldson. We were there to corner a guy named Ralph Valdez, and on the way back, we had been to like multiple shows in South Georgia that were like, just not good shows, like in a pavilion, outdoors, warming up in a cow stall. And we didn't.
Smokers? Are those the ones that are called smokers? We stopped talking about it.
Like in gyms.
Gyms, yeah. Smokers are typically in gyms. This was just what MMA was, honestly. Yeah. Like this is this happened like this everywhere. Like they would have a really crappy, they didn't care about the layout. They just do fights together. They threw whatever lights up.
And doing it in a gym was a way to get around the rules a little bit too, right? When it wasn't legal, right? It was just like, well, we're just doing two gyms fighting each other, right?
Yeah, it's because there was no amateur. So like Dean actually got busted in PSL at one point.
Yeah.
Dean Thomas. So he was having a smoker in his gym, and they sold raffle tickets. So the reason he got in trouble wasn't because two guys were banging it out, was because that there were tickets being sold. So he got reported to the police with bad info. So they're like, oh, they're selling tickets for an event. And they're like, well, now you need a sanctioning body and da-da-da.
Sure.
So what saved his ass was the raffle prizes were of higher value than what the raffle tickets brought in. Okay. So because there was no profit, he got the go.
Okay. He was okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they were basically like, hey, you have an organized event. You need sanctioning, you need EMT, you need insurance, you need this, you need that. But because there was no profit, it wasn't considered like a show.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
So continue. Go ahead. So
we cornered him and we went to this event at the Defense Center, and I was like, oh my God, are we in the UFC right now? Like, it was just amazing. It was dope.
Yeah.
It was a really well put together event. We couldn't believe how well it was put together. On the way home, we were driving, and Josh, my business partner that we started Combat Night with, was like, man, I wish we could do something like that. Like that's dope. And I was like, well, why can't we? And he's like, well, that costs a lot of money. And I was like, well, I've got like 15 grand in my savings account. Like, I'll put up the money. We were driving back. I had eaten an edible. I was very high.
I was feeling, all great ideas.
Yeah, I was feeling very open to the universe.
And we pull out I pick up an envelope in the floor of his car. It's like ripped in half, and we start writing down who we're gonna have fight, who we can have sponsor, all the different ideas about what we can do this event in Tallahassee. And we had already done we had been a part of pro shows, like fought on the pro shows in Tallahassee, but they were long gone. They hadn't happened like in over a year. And so we start writing all these ideas, and I still have it to this day. He gave it to me as a Christmas gift right before he passed. And but it's like our business plan is on this like half ripped piece of envelope.
Really?
All the fighters we're going to use, all the sponsors we're going to go after, what we need, insurance, bank accounts, start a business, all the things. And that was it. We had our first event 3 months later.
You still have that?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we had our first event 3 months later.
How much of that came to fruition? The fighters, the sponsors,
pretty much all of it. Yeah. Like we were kind of running a gym at the time in Tallahassee, and so yeah, I mean, Rise of a Warrior was that catalyst that made us honestly realize like you can do a nice event, and you can take care of fighters, and you can still make money, because all the events we had been a part of previous to that there was no such thing. I remember I fought for a promotion, $300, and at the end of the show, I'm getting paid. I fought the hometown, hero or whatever, and I beat him. And I was like, "Hey man, can I get an event shirt? Can I get a shirt?" And he's like, "Yeah, they're $20. Go right over there." And I was like, "You're gonna make me pay $20 for a shirt? You just paid me $300 that I had to spend $200 in medicals.
Yeah,
and I made $100. You want me to spend 20% of my hard earned money for a shirt?" I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So that's why we do things like we give all the fighters a bunch of merch, bags, shirts, hats, socks. I mean, you name it. We're hooking fighters up with that kind of stuff. I also have a lot of fights that don't have any footage from my fights. So that's why we do cameras. We make sure every fight, there's footage, there's proof that you fought. Some of these guys, this would be the coolest thing they ever do in their life. And for me to think about like some of the coolest things I've ever done in my life, I have no proof that I did. It's just my word.
Yep.
So it's like, I want them to be able to show their grandkids one day, like, look, I fought. Like, I did this. I got in a cage. So, that's what Rise of a Warrior was, that catalyst that got us started. And we stole a lot of ideas from them. Like, oh, you got to have cameras.
Oh, they still around?
They are still around. My buddy Dan Donaldson runs it. He's a good friend of mine. And
Great
we actually do events together.
I was just going to say, is there
November.
promotion? Do you guys work together?
Every year in November, we do one big show.
That's cool.
That's it's a pro and amateur show. They mostly focus on amateurs.
Okay.
But when Dan took over Rise of a Warrior, we did the first show together, like a joint partnership, a business adventure, and then he took off to the races with it on his own. But yeah, we're really good friends, and he'll be at my show this weekend, and I'll be at his show. Every time he has a show, I'm there helping, whatever. It's like kind of a mutual benefiting thing. I don't ask to get paid. He don't ask to get paid. We're just friends, and we want to see each other be successful. And we want to raise the level of MMA here in Florida. So we work together. Like you were asking if I work with other promotions or whatever the case is. Dan's really the only one that me and him are very, very close with one another.
So I asked about the UFC before and their communication with you. I own a couple of businesses. You think about exit strategy, or could I build this to a point where then somebody comes in and buys this promotion? Is that a consideration? Is that something that you think about? Or have you ever been approached for that? Is that a thing in your world? Like, I want to get scooped up by this bigger promotion. They absorb us. Maybe you work for that promotion. Yeah,
it happens. You've seen it. I think the most recently was PFL with Bellator, which I think was a horrible acquisition. I think
so PFL bought Bellator, right?
And then released all the majority of the fighters.
They're like, let's get rid of this competition, but not keep anyone employed either.
Yeah, that's kind of stupid.
And the few that they did keep, you know what? You probably could have kept them anyways. Like, you could have just let Bellator fold, and you could have just scooped these fighters without having to buy Bellator for, I think, $100 million. I think it was a lot of money.
I mean, there's not enough. The content isn't worth that much.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, that has to be the main thing, is the content.
The content, the footage, the socials.
Could you imagine spending $100 million to buy a company and then firing everyone?
And then changing the format of your own company and reducing all the fighters' pay by 50%.
So PFL's changed from...
It used to be $1 million tournament. Now it's a $500,000 tournament.
Okay.
And that got announced pretty much right after they bought Bellator. So it was like, yo, maybe you could have used that.
We made a mistake.
Maybe you could have used that $100 million a little differently. But I mean, hey, they're obviously running events, and I'm happy that PFL
is supposed to be going the other way. The prize money's supposed to be going up, not down.
Yes, I always say you don't want to go backwards. You can't go backwards. So like, whenever we roll out something new or we do something new, it's like, all right.
It's a nail in the coffin if you do that.
Yeah, I think so.
People lose faith.
Yeah.
Fighters are like, what's going on? What's next?
Yeah.
What else are they going to cut?
Yep.
Right? You know.
I say the same thing with like gym owners. I wanted my first gym, 5,000 square feet. Chill out. Get 1,000. Fill it.
Get like one.
Go to 1,500. Fill it. Because if you start at 5 and you're like, oh, we got to make some adjustments. I got to go down to 2,500.
Good luck.
Your old people are going to be like, things are falling apart.
Yeah, I say that with I've in a different way. I still use the sardine cans. I say, with the marketing company, I only hire when like we're bursting at the seams, where we're all like, I'm overwhelmed and I can't take. Let's hire somebody.
Yep.
You know, when my people are saying that, that's when we hire. I owned a marketing company before this for about 8 years, and that was my biggest problem. It was just like, all right, I've got all the positions filled. Let's go out and get that business. And it's like, no. Have the business be bursting at the seams, and then you fill the spots that you need. So I would never make that mistake, but it carries over to what you're saying.
I think every business is like that too, man. I've watched it, obviously in MMA. I watched the gyms that Ben's talking about. I've watched that happen time and time again, where it's like, you know, I always make jokes because you can always jump on Craigslist and see buy a cage, buy.
Oh yeah,
Somebody's going out of business.
They're always closing down, and it's like, why did you open a new gym and go spend $20,000-$30,000 in equipment when you could have bought another gym that was going out of business? And if you see that
and spent $30,000 and had a lease, you can take over their COIs, you can do all that stuff.
I see again. You know, I've got different, martial arts related businesses. And for the marketing company side of things, like I see like a guy opening a gym. Like I just see somebody that's just like was a good competitor or maybe has a little bit of a name down here and they open a gym. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, I'm pulling for you, buddy. I hope that you got some marketing. The marketing is the last thing that they think about. Yeah. It's
everyone's going to know
pretty
me.
mats,
Everyone's gonna know
the
me.
bigger facility, that they're doing social media ads. They think they're going to get all this business. And then I'm just like, then in a year, it's just like, what happened to that gym? And
it's the same thing. You know, these MMA promotions, I've watched at least 20 rise and fall. And it's like they have these great grand ideas of how they're going to change everything. And it's like, like slow your roll, buddy.
Everyone's they're trying to start too big.
They think throwing money at something fixes it. And it's like, no. Unless you're throwing money at marketing, I do believe marketing is number one. But even then, when you first get started, you don't throw money at it. You throw yourself at it.
Marketing should be like the FPL bill. Marketing should be like you're paying your insurance, you're paying your rent, you got to pay for marketing. There's word of mouth is only going to take you so far. If you're a brand new business, it's only going to take you so far. And people, they just don't see it. They're like, marketing's the first thing that you cut, and the last thing that most owners start to implement, and it's the first thing that they cut when times are tough. I'm like, times are tough and you're not getting anybody in the gym. So let's cut the marketing and make sure we get nobody.
Scared money don't make money, man. I see a lot of guys with scared money.
I'm not going to say that there were a few gyms that have opened up in South Florida I'm like, that I follow. And like trying to do things a little bit differently. I don't want to mention them on air because again, pulling
no free promotion.
I'll tell you off air why I wouldn't say the name, but I'm like, they kind of changed the format of what a gym is, and I'm like, okay, let me watch this. But again, it's like, doing things like prizes and like open mat competitions, like they say they give money away daily. I'm like, I don't know how that's going to work, but it's
Where's
hard
this
enough.
Gym and can my guys?
I'll show you off air. I don't want to. I'm not trying to shit on them either, but I'm like, okay, basically,
it's a cool angle if you think about it.
With competitions, open mats and competitions every day where there are cash prizes. I mean, you're right. You're doing it once a month, and it's like it's hard enough. That money's got to come from someplace.
Is it like a paid Gracie challenge? Like Gym
Storm? I'll show you off air. Again, I don't want to shit on. I know some people there. I don't want to shit on them.
I don't think it's shitting. I'm just curious.
Because I don't believe in it.
Yeah.
I would be shitting on them, but I mean, I'm just, not that I don't know enough about it that I'm like watching it going. Yeah, man, it's a different angle. I think how about just having a gym? Just a gym with good jiu-jitsu and maybe some good MMA.
I mean, but at the same time, they got us talking about it here.
But we're not saying their name.
Obviously. But I'm saying, like, the thought would be, let's do something different. People are going to go, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, if that gets to a level that's like ours and things just...
Again, I just think, maybe I don't understand enough about it, but I immediately know. I know what it's like to give stuff away. If you're giving away cash prize, you're giving stuff away. You better have some money in the bank. There's got to be some big money behind you. Why not just do a regular gym?
Especially if it's at an open mat, too. It's like, if you're paying somebody that's not a paying member of your gym, and people, that's weird as well. I mean, I love people trying new things. Like, hey, I'm the first. If it's successful, I'm the first one to be like, yo, I thought that was ass, and it worked. Cool. I'm gonna steal it from you now. But I'll let you be the dummy
test case.
Because I've watched these MMA shows. Like, oh, we're gonna have a concert we're gonna do a halftime show, and I'm like, I don't think anyone came to watch a concert tonight. They came for fights.
You're paying the performer. You got to
Yep.
switch up your lighting. Do you have to have a stage? Does that change your insurance?
Mm-hmm.
You know, who's coming to watch them and watch the fights? Are people going to leave after the halftime because they came out? Your place looks empty. Like, there's so many things that I could just think of without ever running a promotion that I could think about that would be problematic.
I've never seen it be successful.
Some
I've
years
watched it
ago-
happen a lot of times.
Yeah.
We went. I had some guys on a show, and unfortunately, sometimes shows fall out. Some of these smaller events, like, hey, we got 17 guys on the card, and then you show up to weigh-ins, and it's a 5-fight card all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And they had a stand-up comic in the cage with a panel taken off, so he's doing stand-up through the panel hole to the crowd, and then when his fight was over, or when his thing was over, they had like a 15-minute intermission.
What panel? Oh, you mean
cage panel.
took the cage
They
panel
took
out
the
so you
wall
could see him?
off,
Oh, okay.
so he could do stand-up, and it was difficult. It's the wrong crowd. It's not a
there's a
avenue
proven
for that.
there's a proven model, and there's a proven model more than once.
Yeah.
You've got ONE FC, you've got UFC, obviously here. I mean, to a lesser extent, I guess Bellator. But I guess they weren't making it happen, but they followed that model of have
if I
people come
paid-
out, do some amateur fights or do some
If
prelims.
I paid to watch
get people
violence, I'm not
excited.
here for the chuckles.
Yeah,
And I'm even gonna go as far as like I think we only have one successful model, and that's just the UFC.
UFC. You think so?
I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. I know so.
What about ONE FC? Do you,
No.
They've been hemorrhaging money for like a year.
You're either a business and you're making money, or you're a charity and you're giving away money.
Mm.
But I just
Have you been speaking to my wife? So why do you give so much stuff away?
yeah, I'm the same way. I'm very charitable. I want to give back to the community.
I give a giver's gain mentality is what they call
Yeah.
it in my. I belong to a referral group, so I give till it hurts.
I agree.
And-
I agree.
and-
I think
happily. I'm gonna say happily though.
Yeah, yeah.
I like helping people out when I can, and then you hope that comes back. You
Yeah,
hope. It
I
doesn't
agree.
always, but you hope.
I agree 100%. And I think that's what some of these promotions are doing now is that they're thinking maybe they have big investors, they have big money behind them, and they're able to bleed in the hopes that someone's going to come along and stop the bleeding for them
Yeah.
and buy them out or
Sure.
make a big investment because they think that it looks successful on the outside.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at books, I would venture to say that we're probably maybe the second or third most successful MMA company in the world.
Really?
Not just, yes.
Okay, really?
Combat Night.
Yeah.
I mean, you just look at numbers. ONE FC.
Don't mean to sound so surprised, but I mean that's
Yeah,
that's
one
you're in good
championship-
company.
One championship's not making money.
Okay.
A lot of these promotions that are out there now and that are pushing that they're doing well. You look at the books, or the books come out. I mean, Dana White recently had an interview and they were asking about other promotions, and he's like, they're charities. He's like they're not running a business. He's like,
Yeah.
sure, they're taking care of fighters. Sure, like GFL just popped up. Everyone was so hyped
That
about
shit's been
GFL.
such a joke.
I
Right,
knew.
right?
I knew as soon as I saw the very first
The fight
amount they were
announcements?
paying somebody,
Okay.
it's not happening.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, it'll happen one or two
Unless you had
times.
some chic right behind you,
Yep.
like giving
But even
you
then, a
money.
sheik typically has
a
sense.
Craig Jones situation
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
somebody's going, "Here's $1 million."
But even then, like, their investor pulled out. Gee, I wonder why the investor pulled out
Oh, which one?
of GFL.
GFL. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, because he saw the writing on the wall. And that's another thing too. I have a problem with people being a man of their word. Don't open your mouth and say you can do something and you're going to do something unless you have everything in place to do it.
And I did see the story. I think it was last week that it was just like canceled. It's like somebody posted and canceled one of these MMA news websites, and I was just like, oh, well, I'm like, were these retired fighters, semi-retired fighters, asking for too much? Do they realize that you're not in the UFC
But it was
anymore?
offered.
They
was
weren't asking.
offered.
It was
Okay.
offered.
Like, why are you
Okay.
going to pay a retiree double what they made in their peak?
So
Like, they've already taken the
Sometimes
downturn.
what they ever made in their entire career. Guys like Uriah Faber are getting offered millions.
So let me, I'm gonna make an assumption that you'll probably know, right? So, Nurmagomedov started Eagle Promote, right? Is that gone?
I think he still
He had
does
one
them
in, like,
over
Miami.
in his country. I don't
He
think.
did them in Tampa,
he did-
2 or 3 of them,
Okay.
and I think
Miami,
now
yeah.
they're back in like the Eastern Bloc.
Showtime Pettis. He did.
Oh, yeah.
Is he still around?
He still does. it.
Wisconsin,
That's still around?
Tennessee, stuff like that.
here and there.
Who just did the bare knuckle? It's not there's a bare knuckle
Couple.
game bread.
Yeah.
He's still around.
That's Dean. I'm their head cut man. They're
Dean.
on.
Dean is Dean.
Dean O'Toole.
Oh, okay.
Up in Pensacola.
No, just Tool.
Tool.
Dean Tool.
Oh, Tool.
Sorry.
Dean
Tool. This guy just made him Irish.
Oh, there.
You got an Irish accent too.
No.
We get one accent per episode from Ben. So I mean, some of them. I mean, it's still. I guess some of those are still early. Like
No.
How long have you guys been around? More than
13 years.
13 years.
Yeah. So when I talk about success, right, and like I talk about like able to be repeated over and over and over and over again, and provide the opportunities that athletes need, right,
and make money.
And make money. Most importantly, like
when everything gets put away, everybody goes home. Was that event profitable?
Yeah, everyone get paid. No one got. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've heard of fighters not getting paid for 45, 60 days. I can't tell you how many times fighters don't get paid. Staff doesn't get paid. There's so many levels of bad business happening in probably in every realm, but in MMA specifically, it is just a hotbed for bad business. It happens time and time again, especially with these smaller regional shows. I can't tell you how many times I've had a fighter tell me, "Oh well, Billy Bob's Cage Show is offering me $1,200 and $1,200, so I'm going to go fight for them." And I'm like, "Hey, Billy Bob's never done a show." Like, okay, cool. Like, have fun with that. And then fight gets canceled a week out. "Hey, is that is the opportunity still available?"
Nope.
It's like, nope, it's not. We gave it to somebody who was smart. Like, and that's a kind of a sad part too, is that these fighters, the business sense, the business acumen is just not there in the sport in general. How many names, how many guys did you see signed up and were on the GFL's roster that put their careers on hold for 6 months thinking that this thing was really going to happen? Managers, even managers in the sport, sign their guys up for this, expecting this thing to happen. And it's like, yo, especially at a manager level, like, how are you not aware of what it takes to run an event and the kind of money that can and can't be paid?
If you couldn't smell the GFL from a mile away, you weren't paying attention.
So you're paying for the venue, you got to pay fighters. So is it okay to add, like, the money's got to come in from sponsors?
Sponsors and ticket
sales. Do you guys
pay-per-view? We do pay-per-view as well.
You do pay-per-view? Like, where would I find it if I wanted to?
On our box office website. So the same place you go to buy tickets, it's on our actual website, combatnight.com, and then it's also on the box office itself.
Do you have, again, if you, my marketing hat on, do you have some, like, people that are like searching for sponsors, or is it usually they're coming knocking on the door? Is it a little bit of both?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
It depends on what town we're in. I actually I've just officially hired a lady to be our sponsor liaison, I guess you would say, the one who's going to go out and be hunting for sponsors now. Stuff gets lost in the sauce for me, so I'm doing a lot. Up until about event 100, I was doing everything. I was even the cage crew. And I think if you're going to run a small business and you want it to be successful, you've got to put every hat that you can on your head and walk around looking silly with a dozen hats to save the money and make sure things are done right.
Yeah.
So now that we're getting further and further along, I slowly hand off these hats and pay someone for my time, right? Like, anytime I bring on a new person for the crew, I'm not necessarily like, I can do what I'm paying you to do, but I'm paying you to do it because I want my time back. And
you just explained my life.
Buy back your time.
I'm buying back my time.
I'm 5 years into the marketing company. I'll just say it because what you just explained is where I'm at. Like, I have Brandy, my salesperson from the marketing company. She took on doing the onboarding for Academy Save.
Yeah,
that was one thing. I'm like, I got to sell over here. I got to sell accounts for my marketing company and talk to people. But then I got to onboard people. She took that on, and I was just like, thank you. Put that hat on.
Exactly. It takes time though, because you got to find people you can trust.
Yeah.
And because, at the end of the day, like, this is my baby. Like, this is my baby. Yeah. I want to be able to, whether I sell it one day or I probably can't, in my brain though, like, I just know no one's going to, because I don't see it in any other promotion, people caring the way we care at Combat Night. Yeah. So it'd be hard for me to sell that to somebody knowing that they're not going to care like we care.
Yeah.
It's very hard to meet that standard.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, I just hired Ashley Ramsey.
I would call her a sponsorship director.
There you go.
It gives her a little bit that it's not more than it is. She's directing the sponsorships, right? So, but it gives her a little something to go in with.
Yeah, have a title.
Liaison, sponsorship director.
We haven't given her.
The sponsorship director from Combat Night. I almost said Academy Save. From Combat Night's on the phone. Yeah, put it through.
Yeah, we haven't given an official title yet, so I'll throw sponsorship director in the hat of titles. We just had a meeting not even 2 days ago about it, so like it's very new.
Yeah,
but it's getting to the point where I'm missing stuff. Stuff's falling through the cracks with sponsors. Where, in this game, you got to follow up. You don't hear back from them in 3 days. You're like, hey, I'm call it bugging, call it harassing, whatever you want. But until you tell me no, the emails are coming.
I've been a salesperson since I was in my early 20s. I have built 3 businesses around Instagram, my Instagram presence, specifically with, let's just say, the podcast. I am not scared to put out a post that says, looking for sponsors. Yep. Hey, our CBD category is open. Hey, do you know anybody that's, who's your favorite mat company? Tag them in the comments. Mm-hmm. I put it out there and we get that incoming. Oh, yeah. And we, people are like, how do you get sponsors? I go, how many people have you asked to sponsor? Nobody. I'm waiting. Nobody's. I never waited for anybody to knock on the door. I posted. It was mostly me posting. And then some of my favorite brands, I was just like, hey, man, I got this podcast. And then after a year, just give me product in the first year. Yep. And I gave that out to listeners in prizes, send questions. If we use your question, we'll send you a prize. Second year was COVID. Started asking for money. Some people gave, some people were like, do you know that the world is ending? Yeah. Do you know that my Jiu-Jitsu Academy is closed? Or do you know that all the academies that I provide service to or keys to or anything to, they're not open? I don't know if I'm going to have a business in a year. And we got lucky, obviously. Things turned around, especially in Florida. But I would say if unsolicited advice is post about it, just, it could be, not so in their face, but like, hey, we're looking for sponsors. Or it could I'm just like, oh, yeah. These are our sponsors. If you want to join, look at this list of sponsors that we have. If you want to join these guys, reach out, send us a DM, and then it just happens like that. But it's like there's nothing, there's nothing better than an incoming buy order. Somebody coming saying, hey, oh, yeah, I would like to sponsor. Yep. What does it take? Makes it easy. I know, I get a lot of questions about the podcast specifically. You got to ask.
Yeah, closed mouths don't get fed.
Yeah.
I mean,
we had Kendall Roosing on. I've mentioned this story a few times. We had Kendall Roosing on the show. And she said, I sent out 30 emails to different gi companies to get a sponsor. Now she's Gracie Baja, so she can't wear the somebody else's gi in the gym or in any of their facilities. I think that her family owns several, but she can compete in them. So she didn't. She said, send out 30 emails. Nobody got back to me. She won some local competition or something. She won something that was a little bit bigger than normal. And she got one company came back to her, and we've interviewed her a few years ago. At that point, she's like, they've been my sponsor for years, but she sent out 30 to get one. That's a super low.
And those numbers are still really good when you think about it.
Yeah. But again, now my take is I would post, hey, we're looking to partner with a really, a cool gi company. Who's your favorite? You're like, tag them in the comments and that always got us attention. That's how I got every sponsor. And if I'm going to just do a quick shout out to Laheel, we had Robbie D'Onofrio on. Laheel Biogenics was working with Robbie, and they just saw the show. And I was posting, and they commented on one of the posts, "Hey man, we'd really like to work with you." Or they DM'd me, "We'd really like to work with you. We saw the Robbie episode. We thought it was really cool, and here they are now." I just went and got stem cells, treatments 2 weeks ago. But again, it was because I asked. They saw it, and and people take to it. So I would definitely suggest that. It's knocking on, I want somebody knocking on my door versus me not this gets rough 100%. Because salespeople, it's if you don't have a really driven salesperson, it gets hard, especially with the no's. Not everybody's good with the no.
And you really hit the recipe, man. Whenever I was fighting, I talk about making $300 from a promoter, but I was making $7,000 to $10,000 in sponsors for every single fight.
Oh, really?
So wow. I had a beard balm company. I had a beard balm company sending me $2,000 every fight.
Really?
And
that's awesome.
It was by asking, hey, I used your product already. Thank you. I really enjoy your product. I'm also a professional fighter. I would love to represent your brand inside the cage, blah, 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 blah. And I never put price tags on everything, on anything. Yeah. I'm always just like, whatever you are willing to help me with or give me, I'm happy with. And 9 times out of 10, they're offering me more than I would have asked them for to begin with. Now, as a fighter, that's a little easier. As a business, you can't do that. As a business, I have to have sets and let them know what they're going to get. But as a fighter, some of these guys talk to me and they don't have any sponsors. And it's like, yo, it's crazy to me, especially with the amount of marketing and love we show our athletes. They get matchup posters, post-fight pictures, reels. We kill it. We kill it on Instagram and social media. Some of our guys, it's so funny to look at their pages. They got 500 followers. They have 10 videos that all have 100 views. And then they have a video with 2 million views. And it's like, whoa, what the
Did
hell
you like the
happened?
collab? Like a you did a
Yeah.
collab
We show
with
all,
them?
we give all of our fighters a lot of love, and there's no reason they shouldn't be able to go out and use that to get sponsorships.
Yeah.
If you look at our following, which is completely organic across YouTube and Instagram, which I think are the two most powerful tools for social media, we have 180,000 on Instagram and 200,000 on YouTube. We have more followers and subscribers than any regional show in the country. There's not a show that's even close.
Do you got, so again, I'll make a suggestion. I'll even show you mine, what I use. I have a 2-page sponsorship kit specifically made to be texted, or I don't think I've ever emailed it. It's usually because it's coming from Instagram.
Yep.
So I add it as an image to an Instagram chat. The first page is like about it. We were featured in the Sun Sentinel, our numbers, how many downloads, subscribers, like it has all of our numbers.
Yep.
We just broke 1 million downloads
Nice.
of the podcast combined with YouTube views. So we just broke 1 million, which is cool. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not getting 3 million per episode, right? But I have the first page is like a little bit of a bio and our numbers, and
Yeah.
then the second page is the bronze, silver, and gold packages with the pricing, what we give.
Yeah.
Like great for you guys. Like this is what we're going to give you. We know what we can show, and we'll put your logo here, we'll put there. So it's just like makes her job easy. This is what we do.
Yeah.
Here are our prices, right?
We got a
have that.
sponsorship deck.
Yeah. So that, and then, but for the fighters too, the fighters don't have that.
Yeah.
I'm working with Beach Jiu Jitsu. Have you seen this Beach Jiu Jitsu Federation?
I've seen it, yeah.
Toledo Alencar is part of it, right? UFC fighter. So we've been doing stuff for them, and we just redid their sponsorship kit,
Nice.
and we redesigned it and everything. But the same thing, like they had something, but it was really rough. But just like here, these are your packages. This is what you're giving them. Give them this.
Yeah.
You could still negotiate from that. Mine even says like
yeah.
reach
Pick a
out.
deal.
We could do something custom. But even for the fighters don't have that, and they usually are going into like
Smart
what you
way to
said
do.
you do. Like, hey, what do you want to offer me? But sometimes it's great if they send something like here's my reel, here's a video, my last fight, but let me send you this PDF with what I'm asking for and what I could do. It makes it real easy for people to just go, yeah, I could do that. And most of the time they're going to go, some go, yeah, I'll do the smallest one.
Yeah.
So make the smallest one the one that you really want.
Yeah, I
and
always
then
tell
put
them-
a couple of big ones.
I always tell them, because I do a lot for the athletes and for the fighters. I try to do the best, but the same email template that I used for myself when I was a fighter, I've sent to at least 3 dozen people over the course of time. Like the same, I think even Ben at one point, I've sent it over to you. And it's very simple. Like, first of all, you attack the people that are in arm's reach.
Yeah.
And then you attack the people that you do business with, whether it's you just buying their product or it's further than that. But it's so crazy. I tell these guys all the time, like, yo, hit me up if you ever have any questions, need any help with sponsorships. I used to do it for my buddies. Even when I was an active fighter, I would help like Jim Allers, one of my buddies that owns a school down here in
Jim,
Pembroke
and
Pines.
he's been on the show.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine, like
Yeah.
my best friend. That's where I'm headed after I leave here. But I used to get him sponsors too when he was fighting in Cage Warriors and it was early UFC days. And I've continued it into Combat Night as well. But it's so simple. But at the end of the day, if you don't ask, you're never going to get in. You're just not. There are some people that will just, hey, could I sponsor you? And you might get one of those guys every now and then if you're a really good fighter. But for the most part, these guys just aren't asking.
Yeah.
And I was okay with asking 100 people if I got one person to sponsor me.
One of the mistakes that I know that people make, fighters, companies, when they're asking for sponsors is, well, like, pay me first and then I'll do something. So I would say, look, what's your favorite brand that you're already using? Do a little video, be like, oh man, I love these pads, I love these gloves, Hayabusa, whatever, title. But just like give them a little shout out and tag them. It's not that they're going to come back to you and get that and you're going to get a sponsorship from them. But the next guy is going to be like, hey, I like what you did there. We would be interested. Like, so you got to kind of like, it's the chicken and the egg. What came first, the sponsorship or me shouting out somebody that I like? Like, if you're looking for, like, shout out people, shout out the brands you're using. You just said the people that are at arm's length. Well, what are you using in the academy already? And it's okay to give them a little shout out. You're not 0% of zero is still zero. So if you don't have anybody, but you got to be willing to do a little bit and like show them what we're gonna do.
And you probably need to practice. Like
A lot of companies immediately judge, well, let me see how many followers you have. I mean, it's got to be a consideration. Well, if you have nobody following you and you're at, like, what do you expect? So, like, even in the past, I've done, like, especially a lot of kids reach out for stuff. Hey, can I get a t-shirt? Flow and Roll that we work with did that. Like, he would give shit to the giveaway till it hurt.
Yep.
But now he's in their academy and the coach is like, hey, man, because the little kid goes to the academy on Monday. You know, he got a package on Saturday. He's wearing his free T-shirt or his rash guard. And then his little buddy goes, hey, where'd you get that from? And he's like, oh, this guy gave it to me for free. And then there's another kid from the academy. So he would send them stuff.
Yep.
And all of a sudden his stuff is in the academy. And then he's at an IBJJF event. And now the parents come over, buy more. And then all of a sudden the coach comes over. And that's how he got a lot of business. He would get the coach, and then now he's doing their gear for the academy. So it's like, sometimes you got to give till it hurts.
You have to give till it hurts, man. I mean, again, like, you know, I brought in some stuff for you guys today, but I probably, if I had to guess, I'm around the $25,000 to $30,000 mark of just giving away free merch.
Yeah.
I mean,
but we know that's marketing.
yeah, it's marketing.
It's marketing dollars.
100%.
It's marketing dollars that I would rather give that stuff away than do Google ads or do social media ads.
Yeah.
That hat, getting onto a video that I get to reshare now in a month, in a year, a throwback Thursday, right? Like, you know, put it out there. There's gold to me. Just somebody where we give away a lot of mugs. Like I'm going to wind up sending you a mug and a T-shirt, right? People to this day, like 3 years ago, they'll like send me like they're like this little machine over here. They put their mug under it and they take a video and like tag me, and I'm like, that's why I did it.
Mm-hmm.
That $15 mug that I sent you has now given me X amount of content that it's like invaluable.
So I go and I corner guys in the UFC. I corner guys in one championship. I go all over the world. And I always bring a bag of like free stuff, socks, shirts, everything. You'd be surprised at how you probably wouldn't be surprised, but I get messaged all the time. Hey bro, Combat Night shirt and embedded. There was just one, Drew Peterkin just messaged me, and it was, I forget whose camp, Diego Lopez's camp. Okay. Someone was wearing a Combat Night. I've never met Diego Lopez.
Yeah.
I've never met him.
But somebody was out at the
somebody
fight.
in his camp was wearing a Combat Night shirt. And they're like, yo, he's wearing a Combat Night shirt. I've gotten pictures of, I mean, you name it, like Boss Rutan wearing my stuff, like, you know, because I'm always giving people stuff and showing love, and also it's my company, and like, you know, I want people to be wearing it. I want people to be seeing it.
For me, like when it's calculated now. Like I'm like, oh, let me wear it. Like when I wore your stuff at La Heel, and I'm like, let me give back. I'm gonna give back some love. And I'm at La Heel. I'm gonna be standing in front of the La Heel sign, so I don't need to be in a La Heel shirt. Yeah. So I wore his thing, shouted him out, tagged him. I also know that he was speaking to La Heel. So like, you know, there's a method to the madness sometimes. Yeah. I mean, I think of it, not everybody thinks like that. They just grab their Combat Night shirt and just put it on. He wasn't thinking about, let me get on Combat Night, right?
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, I do it. I don't know if, I think I might have mentioned to you, like, you know, get some boxes, you know, tape out to people, you know. Drew, have you talked to Drew? Like,
I just got the tape in on Wednesday. I texted Drew as soon as I opened the box. I'm like, tape's in, when you want to do it.
Like, I mean, I imagine like taking that fight rap, like to guys that you know that like, you know, will support you. Some tape, some gauze, and be like, here, this first one's on me, man. I really appreciate the support, you know, stuff like that.
I've been bringing
a T-shirt in there if you can.
I just created the design for the T-shirts. I think if I'm giving away, I'm not going to use my drop shipping because they're like $20 a shirt.
Sure.
So I'll get some produced local and I'll bring them out. But like most of the shows I've been at, when I meet there's coaches I know, guys I know that know how to rap.
Yeah.
Here's 4 or 5 rolls. Check it out.
Yeah.
You know, the info's on the card. Come to the website.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I would, for you, continue doing what you're doing. I would give away before I ran one ad, social media or Google. I would, like, I was calling it the flow and roll model because I watched him do it, and then I was just like, oh, I'm going to do that too. Not that I didn't really already know. Like I say, nothing sells better than free. Mm-hmm. Getting into the gyms, and then, you know, again. Yeah.
I've been trying to do
nobody
it in
throws
person.
away a T-shirt,
yeah,
right? Even if they don't buy from you, and you catch, like you just said, that guy might not in any way, shape, or form. Maybe somebody even gave him the T-shirt, right? Yeah. But now you just somebody noticed enough that somebody else said, "Hey, man, I saw that comment." But getting your shit into people's hands with like the raps are great, but they might not show the raps. They're never right. Yeah. But the guy. You know, the guy holding pads, all of a sudden he's got a fight wrap, fight tape shirt on. Like, that goes super, super far. And everybody's doing social media.
Speaking of people not throwing away stuff, one of my, honestly, like my proudest moments, this was like 3 or 4 years ago, I found a Combat Night shirt at Goodwill.
Really?
And I was like, we made it. We're in Goodwill, baby.
I've been trying to do this shout out for about a half hour. Let me just, so we've talked about La Heel a bunch. I went and got stem cells a couple of weeks ago, so still waiting to, you know, to see what to happen. I'm going to say I noticed like I couldn't even cross my legs without grabbing it to put my shoes on. You just saw that, right? Mm-hmm. I could do that. I couldn't lift either one of my legs because it was just hips and lower back.
Yep.
So I'd have to grab my foot and do that. I put on my socks and shoes this morning. I said,
Dude, stem cells are the truth, bro.
What's going on here? Is this what's going on today?
Yeah,
Is there something to this? Because I mean, I believe in it, but I've only heard the story. I haven't never done it before.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, am I on the road to recovery here? I mean, my lower back's been killing me forever. That's why I'm a guard puller.
Yeah.
Come on, come to me.
It's just easier. The older I get, the more I just sit.
Pull guard. So Lahil's been awesome. They have 3 locations in Florida. They have a 4th one opening, but they have currently Lakeland, Brandon, and South Tampa is where I went with Bo. We filmed a bunch over there. Incredible staff. The one cool thing that we talked about before was that they can do telemed. So you could do a video, you could do a video chat with somebody there. We've talked about post stem cells. The only reason I haven't done it yet is because I mentioned I'm going on a cruise, but I'm going to be getting the BPC 157. I didn't want to go away on a cruise and be like, now
Worried about
injectables and like, hey, sir, what are all these needles for, right?
Heroin.
So I'm waiting probably actually going to order so that when I get home, it's here. So I'm going to do the BPC 157 and then
TB 500.
The TB 500 is the other one they set the
Wolverine stack.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Why do they call it that?
Because it's very regenerative. I have one of my fighters. He was injecting it into his shoulder for a labrum tear, and it regrew discs in his neck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used it for my elbow, and it helped quite a bit.
And Lahil, like we mentioned, Lahil, I'm not sure if you realized it, but they sponsor several of your fighters.
To me, that's the biggest thing about any company. Like if a company wants me to get behind them as like I shout out people all the time on social media. I don't care if they sponsor me, they don't sponsor me. If they're a good company and if they're supporting the MMA community, and they're one of Ali Abuzulam's sponsors. He fought for us in Kissimmee. He'll probably be fighting for us June 21st in St. Pete.
Okay.
But for me, it says a lot about a company that's going to get behind an MMA fighter. And in this sport, it's probably a smart move for them because there's so many guys, the injuries, the repetitive, guys are overtraining more than any. I think it's probably the sport that has the most overtraining injuries, period. But it's smart for them. But just the fact they're showing love to a fighter, especially one of our athletes, I love that. I love that about the company.
Yeah.
It says a lot about them.
Yeah. Well, I maybe there's a conversation that you guys
I would love to have a conversation with them at some point.
I do not speak for anybody, and I love putting people together.
Yep.
If something happens, I think that would be great. They've been amazing. Stacy was up there. Heidi and Stacy took care of me when I went up there. Amazing. I did the red light therapy, and then I did a laser therapy just on my back. So the red light therapy is you're standing in front of that red light board. It's supposed to help with collagen and other things, skin and
inflammation.
Inflammation. Then I did the regular laser therapy on my lower back, and then we did the stem cells and exosomes, which was, again, I'm just like, I need to educate myself a little bit more on like the individual things, but we're gonna have Stacy come down. We're talking to them about having them come down. I forget who there's a gym owner that they work with up there that they're going to bring with them. That's been on their on some of their programs or their protocols for a while now. It's had really great results. So I think they're going to come down and then we're going to discuss it. Hopefully Google doesn't Google loves to block. So when you're talking about they call it experimental.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about experimental, yeah. So I mean, it's just like, look, yeah. I mean, well.
If we cured people with
cannabis, hemp. Let me mention all the big ones and totally get this episode blocked. It's not that they block it. So if I try to run ads, not like get paid for ads, but if I try to run ads, which I do, I promote.
Yep.
So I run YouTube ads. It gets a little difficult if you mention any of this stuff.
Well, because Big Pharma's got a lot more money in their pocket than you do for their ads.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I promote, shit, I'm a marketing guy. We promote, we don't just put it out, we promote. And you can continue to resubmit and get the ads running. But we do notice the ads take a while to get approved. And then organically, it doesn't show as much. Yeah. Like you see your organic traffic isn't. So we're dealing with it, we're learning. But, again, look, I'll if I continue to get better and I can tie my shoes, you ever see that, there's this commercial with a big shoehorn. Was it called a shoe? What's the thing that put your shoe? I swear to God, I thought I was going to have to get that.
Oh man.
I'm 52 years old. I could still do jiu-jitsu. I could still do a cartwheel onto the mat. I could still move around, but I can't freaking bend down to tie my own shoes or get my foot up. And I'm like, am I going to have to get that freaking thing? I thought that was for 80-year-olds.
Have you ever used a shoehorn?
I've used a shoe, the little one when I was a kid.
Like, you seem to be a bit of a sneakerhead. You don't want to crease the back of your shit. That thing is money.
You should be getting it anyway?
Bro,
Do you have one?
No.
Do you have?
I have. I took my grandpa's for like my dress shoes, but I don't need it anymore.
Hopefully I won't need it with Lahil's help. So let's check them out. Again, Lakeland, Brandon, South Tampa. You can go to Leheel.com, LEHEAL.com. And if you go to their website, but if you set up your treatment, make sure you let them know that you heard about them on the podcast, and you will get 20% off your first treatment. So, check them out. Again, been amazing to work with. Took care of me really well. I'm got to make another trip up there after I get back from the from my trip. But then I'm going to do the TB, is it TB 500 and the BPC 157. I'm definitely going to get on. So, thank you guys for all the support. Appreciate it.
And not for nothing, guys. I don't know if you do research or not, but like for me, I've done a lot of research on peptides, all these things, stem cells, everything. And just talking with you prior to the show about the prices, like the prices are already great. So if you're getting an extra 20% off the prices he just mentioned, because I've done the BPC 157 in the past. You don't got to do a whole lot of research. You can just go right there because literally the pricing is better than 10 other places I've looked at.
Ben said you got the BPC. And you've been quoted the price was well below what you paid previously.
Yeah. Dramatically. Yeah. Like a third.
And I'm kind of like I said, I knew I was going away, and I'm like, again, I don't know what the shooting protocol is going to be like. Let me wait till I get back, but I'm like itching to do it because I'm like, this just, it stacks really well.
The aches and pains go away, my friend.
It does.
Really?
Yeah.
And here I was getting cortisone shots constantly.
Which is the worst thing to do.
I've heard is the worst. I don't know how my doctor didn't stop.
Because the pain goes away.
Yeah.
And they get
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm shocked that he kept on going, yeah, well, hold on a little bit here and a little bit here. You want one here too?
Yeah.
We doing the other shoulder today?
I got cortisone once. It made it hurt worse.
Well, he knows after a dozen of those, you're going to eventually need reconstructive surgery.
Yeah. I don't think.
And then after that, he's got pain meds to go to.
Yeah, he was investing in his future.
Yeah.
That boat's got payments, baby.
Yeah, I do think they don't knowingly do these things. I do think they're unbeknownst to them, they don't realize the harm.
Let me say that I was in the room where I guess an intern, I guess, at the doctor's office was like, he said something in front of the doctor, like, should we be shooting? Should we be doing this again? Isn't this a little too often? Like, and I had heard, but I didn't care. I was like, I get 3 or 4 months of pain-free working out and jiu-jitsu out of this. I'm going to keep on doing it. And one of the things, people used to call me crazy, I would get the cortisone shot in the shoulders, and other things would go away. My hips wouldn't hurt as much. My lower back wasn't hurting as much. I'm
you get steroid in your veins. Yeah.
I'd go to the gym, and then literally later that day, pain was gone. And everyone, I would tell people, I got a cortisone shot today. He's like, again? You know that you're not supposed to do that. It's what does it mess up the ligaments? And
it makes everything fragile.
Yeah.
Yeah, it dries them out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now I haven't done it forever.
Yeah.
So
good.
All right, we're going to start to wrap things up, but we're going to do, first thing, we save a lot of the questions that we get for, the most common questions we get at the end of, we do them at the end of the episode. We call it the drill down. When you hear the episode, you're going to hear Bo, our producer, go,
the drill down.
And it's going to add the effects to it. So, all right, so we're going to go down this list of questions and then we'll wrap. So, one of the most popular questions we get, which you've already said you mostly do no-gi, but gi or no-gi, you're a no-gi guy.
No, I'm a gi guy.
Oh, you're a gi guy?
I'm a gi guy.
I thought you were saying before that you...
He saves the gi for his home gym.
You serve the...
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't roll in a gi anywhere besides your home gym?
Not that I won't. I just, if there's a promotion happening at Fusion, I'll go be a part of it.
In the crowd.
Yeah.
But your preference is gi?
My preference is gi.
Okay,
I prefer gi.
Takedown or pull guard?
You do not pull guard. I'm sorry. I heard you say
Oh,
you don't pull guard.
Age-oriented guard pulling?
No, you don't pull guard. You just don't. If you can't shoot a takedown, then you toss them. You do something. You don't pull guard.
What about when my back?
My back.
Favorite submission?
Guillotine.
Okay. Music during rolling? Yes or no?
I don't really care for music.
No, really?
Like I'm just not a music guy. If I go for a run, I'm going to listen to a podcast. I'd rather listen to a podcast.
Okay, gotcha. What would you be doing if you hadn't have found martial arts? Was there a career path, or was there like something that when you were younger,
I
like, I really want to be?
I'd probably be I'd be a degenerate. That's what I would be.
That's the most common answer to that question. I'd be, is a dead in jail, drug addict.
I'd be a degenerate. Drugs were never my thing, but fighting has always been my thing. So I'd be in trouble if I wasn't.
So when you're running a fighting organization, do you watch a lot of other stuff? Are you watching every UFC? I mean, it's like every weekend now, but are you watching UFC? Are you watching One Championship? Are you watching these others?
I mean, not that far. I will watch most UFCs, but like I got a roster of 1,000 guys that I care about and I want to know more about them. So I don't spend a whole lot of time watching other promotions. One Championship, if I got a buddy fighting or something, I will. Sure. PFL, a buddy fighting, I will. But UFC, if I'm free, I'll watch it.
Did you say you did a One Championship fight?
Yeah, I fought for them I got the fight on weigh-in day. And I fought it was their third ranked guy in the world, undefeated, like 12-0.
Here or there?
In Singapore. During COVID.
So were you there? You were there for something else?
I was there to corner my one of my best friends and like little brother, Troy Worthen. He had a fight against Shuya Kumakoba, and John Lineker's opponent fell out. So they asked Troy to step up to fight John Lineker on 24 hours notice.
This fight?
And then they looked at me after Troy said that and they said, "What about you?" And I was like, "What about me?" And they're like, "You want to fight?" And I was like, "Sure." So I'm a flyweight. I walk around at like 145.
Okay.
So the fight was at 145. So it was at my walk around weight, and took the fight on 24 hours notice. Had a good time.
Wow.
Only time I've been finished in a fight. Only time ever. I was pissed.
Did they ask you back? Did they say, "Hey, you know"?
They signed me for a contract. I had a 6-fight deal, but like I said, that was in the middle of COVID, and I mean, One Championship's business practices are just horrible.
I'm hearing a lot. I'm hearing that more often than not.
The whole weight cut thing is a fake, by the way. The whole we don't do weight cutting.
Oh yeah,
false.
Yeah,
they just have better. They have a different method they have to do to cut the weight for One Championship.
They have to cut twice.
They'll drink a liter of water, wait 45 minutes so that clean, undehydrated pee is in their bladder, and then they go cut weight. And that way, when they pee, it's not. It's like, okay, I can pee and it's going to be clear. But I've watched guys do. I watch guys. We had a meeting about not using sauna suits and not getting in the sauna. Then why did you book a hotel with a sauna and a steam room? And why am I watching a guy in a sauna suit run outside right now? Like while we're having this meeting, there's a guy.
So complete BS.
It's just BS.
Wow. Favorite competitor to watch? Do you have somebody?
Old school, like who I could go. There's really like two guys. I can watch a Charles Bennett Felony Crazy Horse highlight any day of the week. If you pull up right now Crazy Horse's highlight videos, I would sit here and
I don't even know who that is. Who's that?
Oh
really?
my God.
Crazy Horse?
What?
I'm sorry.
Oh, dude. It needs its own show. You don't have enough time.
No?
Yeah. Well, I'll show you the highlight video after.
Okay. All right. Send me something.
BJ Penn.
Yeah.
Although I feel very bad for BJ right now. I feel like he's battling some CTE and some drug addiction, but I love BJ Penn.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff recently.
His fight with Machida to me is like all time. Like
he's like paranoid about family right now and stuff like that.
Sad.
Yeah.
They're clones.
Yeah.
Sad.
Ultimate goal in this world of martial arts, where do you see yourself, let's just say 5-10 years?
I'm doing exactly what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
I don't see anything changing. Hopefully I'm impacting more lives and I'm helping, being a part of more people's journeys. But for me, I have found my calling. There's nothing else in the world I'd rather do outside of being a dad, but like professionally speaking, I have found my calling. It is running MMA events and helping guys get to the next level. So 5 years from now, I hope instead of getting 7 or 10 guys in, we're getting in 30 or 40 a year.
You have how old are your kids?
I have a 3-year-old daughter and I have an 8-year-old son.
Is your son training?
Yeah, he trains, and my daughter will train as soon as she's big enough to train.
Very cool. And wife's involved with the organization. I see you guys doing a lot of social media stuff together.
Yeah, it's a family oriented event. She fought it for a very long time, but I learned she hated it. She'd tell me all the time, like, I'm done. I'm like, you said you wanted to travel. She's like, not to the same places every year. But you know, for me, it was like I got a bunch of successful friends that I use as mentors, and I talk to about life, and almost all of them have been through one divorce, and it was almost all business related. I mean, it's time consuming, you know. I remember we'd go on vacation, I'd be in my phone, and she'd be like, oh, you're always in your phone, and I'd look at her and go, do you like being on the beach right now in Mexico? Like, do you like that?
Like, this is the trade-off.
This is it right here.
This is the trade-off. Just let me do this.
And if you don't understand it, then, I mean, we got bigger problems.
Yeah.
Why can't you just?
Yes. Why can't you put it down?
So, but she gets it now. I mean, she's on board 100%. And I learned that from my friends talking about they would travel all the time, be gone all the time, and they didn't. The family life fell apart for the business life to come together. And I was like, nah, there's a better way. And I was like, I can bring both together. So I did. I managed to do that.
I was at the last event. I think I saw her in the ring running around. I recognize him from social media.
Yep,
So
I'm holding my baby.
Yeah. So you were in the ring. That's awesome.
Yeah. I love
That's
it.
cool.
I'm very thankful and blessed that we've managed to do something different.
Very last question. This is a big one. Since you said you're a gi guy, do you or do you not wash your jiu-jitsu belt?
No,
never.
I mean, if it happens
Are
to get tangled up,
are you a black belt? You're a black belt, right?
if it happens to get tangled up in my gi and goes into the wash, cool.
Okay,
But like,
no
I
big
don't
deal.
want, I don't like try to avoid it, but like, I don't put it in the hamper.
Okay.
I've been training jiu-jitsu for 4 years. In 4 years, I got hurt 6 times. I received stem cell injections in my wrists, elbows, shoulders, both knees, and I got stem cells recently injected in my left index finger. After a week and a half, I was right back at it, going the way I like to go at it. At Lehil Biogenics, they're friendly, they're patient, they answer all the questions you might have. Educate yourself. Call Lehil, ask about stem cells, and see where it takes you.
Unlock the power of your online presence with Black Belt Digital Marketing. Their reputation management program ensures your Google business profile seen by more potential customers. Black Belt Digital Marketing is your full-service digital marketing agency specializing in local SEO and reputation management. Boost your business today. Visit bbdigitalmarketing.com. Your success is their priority.
Lysol, I spray it, and I use Neutral Zone Clean. I'll go back and forth between Lysol and Neutral Zone Clean. That's what I do.
Real jiu-jitsu guys just blow pot smoke on it.
There you go. That's the way to do it, right?
Yeah.
You
Disinfect everything. I don't smoke
wash.
inside.
No, wash or don't wash.
Not as often as I should, but it happens.
But you're not like my powers in the belt.
Oh.
You're not
don't think-
washing it because of that, right? That
I don't
whole
think there's powers in the belt
Yeah,
either.
you know,
If
the
anything,
old
there's
school.
staff in the belt,
yeah.
and I'm just okay with it. But like, I don't wash my belt.
At black belt now, I'm washing it like maybe once a month, only because I do want that belt to last. That's the belt I got.
I'm already on like my second or third black belt
Yeah.
right now.
I'm not gonna lie, I do want to have the ragged
Yeah.
strings falling off black belt,
But you want it because
but I wanted to be because I used it, not because I washed it.
That was my first belt. I couldn't untie it. It was too worn, so now it just sits.
All right. So let me just give you a quick second. You want to tell us the next event and any shout outs you want to do to anyone. This is your time.
Okay, cool. Yeah, our next event is May 17th in Jacksonville, Florida. It's a pro show. We've got a lot of guys on there that'll be making their way to the UFC soon. I always tell guys, man, if you're a fan of MMA and you're not supporting local MMA, then you're not a real fan. Because this is a moment where you get to spend $50 to go to a local show and support the rising star. And you get to say, hey, I saw John Jones before he was John Jones. So guys, if you're a real fan, get to these regional shows. And that's not just Combat Night, although you're going to have the best experience at Combat Night and you're going to want to come back. But just get to a local regional show, show some love at this level, because without you guys showing us love and the fans coming in at the regional level, a lot of these fighters may never make it to the top level, because we need those fans to be able to have these events to continue. So May 17th in Jacksonville, if you go out to that show, you're going to have an opportunity to see 5 or 6 guys that I know will be in the UFC one day. We got guys like Daniel Morrison out of John Way Martial Arts. We got guys like Jeremiah McDougal out of ATT Longwood, and Fusion Excel that are actually fighting each other. We got guys like Donovan Hedrick, 6-0 right now. Julio Chavez, Cesar Chavez. I mean, we got so many amazing guys that fight with us on every single event. You're just missing out. I mean, if you want to go watch J Mac whenever he makes it, or Daniel Morrison whenever he makes it to the UFC, you're going to be spending $2,000. Or you could get in your car, drive 2 hours, and spend $200 and have the time of your life. I mean, literally, like,
It was a great event, man.
Yeah, it's different. The energy is different, man.
Super entertaining, man. Yeah,
It's
we were nice and close up. And
yeah, and we've curated that experience for our fans. Like I promise you, you come to a Rise of a Warrior or a Combat Night, you're gonna have a better experience. I'm gonna say this than if you go to a UFC event. I
UFC tickets are like $300-400 in the nosebleeds.
Yeah,
and then
$150.
as it gets closer, I mean, you that $1,200 for ringside.
Even if you spend for the ringside ticket, the $2,000 or $1,200 for the front row ringside ticket, you're still 30 feet away from the cage.
Yeah,
because they have to have all their media, all their production, all the things. Where if you spend $150 at our event for a front row ticket, you're 8 feet from the cage.
All right, guys, we got to leave it there. Thank you, Ren, for coming out, man. Appreciate you driving down. You can check us out at Jiu Jitsu Dummies for all the ways to watch, listen, and support. My IG is Uncle Milty BJJ. Ben?
MMA Coach Ben on Instagram. You can catch me as well in Jacksonville May 17th with Mitchell here, calling the action at Combat Night. If you see me, come say hi, see what's up.
And your Combat Night MMA?
Yep, Combat Night MMA.
You give out your personal as well?
Personal's fine. It's M.A. Chamale, but Combat Night MMA is the focus.
Is the one to follow. All right. So thank you for watching and listening, everybody. Peace, love, jiu-jitsu. Oos.